The Gospel of Matthew says that when great trouble comes, it will be the worst since the world began until now. Holy Queen of Mercy and Love, O Mary, sitting on your heavenly throne, rejoice. It will be a real disaster for pregnant women and mothers. People should pray that the disaster does not begin in winter. The dark angel of the 4th level calls on the holy seraphim to sing with him. People will see everything for themselves. The earth and the sky proclaim a hymn, and Regina must save them. Where there will be lifeless bodies, vultures will gather. Those who have awakened are frightened that the enemy of the 4th level is before them, and that such monsters can wipe an entire country off the face of the earth. The girl suggested fighting together, but another awakened one told her to save the people while she tried to stop them. She wants to try to buy at least a little time. The girl wanted to stop her, but she said it was okay. National intelligence had already discovered the portal. Therefore, reinforcements would soon arrive. National intelligence declared a state of emergency. The opening of a portal on the campus of a Korean university has been confirmed, so all awakened people in the vicinity must go there. The girl was only a 3rd level awakened, but she decided she had to hold on. A demonic creature saw her and decided to attack, shouting, "Karatox, Latox." Another girl told her to run away immediately. Unexpectedly, a boy appeared and asked them to get out of the way. He destroyed the monster with one blow. The girls were surprised where he got the strength to destroy such a huge monster with one blow. The boy said that they hadn't seen each other in a long time and asked what year it was. The girl asked who he was, but he asked the same question again. She replied that it was October 6th, 2024. The guy was surprised that only a year had passed. He had spent hundreds of years in that hell, and here only a year had passed. He had miscalculated, and the time distortion turned out to be much worse. Exactly 1 year ago, he met his enemy, and then ended up in a hell known as the Demon Realm of Rigo. It was an incredible period. But in the end, he emerged victorious and returned. The girls noticed that he had awakened to S rank. Surely he was the state's secret weapon. The girl thought that this simply couldn't be true because she was in intelligence and should be in the know. The boy said that if they hadn't seen anyone, it meant they had entered a different time frame. After that, backup arrived. Leader Kim Ju-woo told everyone to take their positions, then called the girls by their names, Serena and Nuri, and said they were a little late. But now they had to leave everything to them. Then he asked where the enemy had gone because he had been told that he had left the portal at least at the 2nd level. After that, an awakened person approached the guy who had returned from the demon world and told him to get out of the way. He didn't know what he was, but asked him to get rid of his cosplay of an awakened one. Then he asked if he was ignoring him or if he was just deaf. The siren said that he must have gone mad and needed to be stopped. Kim Ju-woo asked why. The guy replied that he had 3 seconds. In that time, he had to convince him that he deserved to live. Siren said he was very dangerous. This guy had just destroyed a level 4 enemy. Kim Jun-woo couldn't believe it and wanted to intervene. The awakened one decided that he had to destroy him first, otherwise he would suffer, so he used a blade storm. But the guy who returned from the demon world stopped him and said that 3 seconds had passed. Kim Jun-woo asked what he was doing. The guy replied that now was not the time to worry about him, and then noticed that the portal was opening again, so he would come out from the other side, and they wouldn't be able to stop him. After that, a 6th level enemy emerged from the portal. Kim Jun-woo called for backup and said that there was a 6th level enemy here. The code word Red Horn was received, and it could destroy more than 30 million people in a day. After that, an urgent evacuation of residents within a 10-kilometer radius was announced. The Red Turtle and White Tiger squads were to help. Kim Jun-woo said that not only them, but everyone who has awakened in Korea must join them, because the greatest monster in history has appeared. The awakened ones said that they needed to buy some time for the evacuation of the residents, even if it cost them their lives. Kim Jun-woo told Nuri to run away with Siren. After that, they all went on the attack. Nuri asked an unknown boy if he would help them. He asked if he should do it, and she said that it was his world too, so he had to protect it. But he asked her to give him at least one reason why he should help them, because the strong die and the strong live. And there were no exceptions. That was the law of power. They had to fight for survival or be defeated by the strongest. The guy asked Nuri if she could tell him where Sion's office was, but she didn't answer, and he called her useless. Siren said that they were all the same and that he was looking for her. She told Nuri that they needed to leave and that he wasn't going to help them anyway. But she stood up and said that strong people don't behave like that. Strong people should help the defenseless now. After that, she took her weapon and decided to attack the monster, but the monster repelled her attack and she fell. The boy managed to catch her and said that she was an interesting girl and that he liked her. Then he said that his name was Tekon, that he was a demon lord, and that he would be her master. Nuri thought he was a demon. After that, the monster approached them. Nuri was frightened, but Taehyun called it a pathetic creature and asked how it dared to open its jaws in front of him. He told it to shut up and struck it. Then he said that his face was right above it and called it arrogant. Then he ordered the monster to bow before him. Then he struck it and said that now they were on the same level. Then he took the magic stone that had fallen out of the monster and said that was all. Those who had awakened could not believe that it was a magic stone. Kim Jun-woo had never seen such a large stone. Nuri asked Taehyun why he was looking at her like that. He told her to follow him. His words surprised her and she asked him to repeat himself. Taehyun replied that he would not repeat himself. She had no choice but to follow him. Kim Jun-woo said no way. He thanked him for defeating the enemy. But Nuri was one of them, so he couldn't just take her away. Taehyun said he could and didn't ask for permission. Then he told them to get out of the way and struck them. Kim Junwoo didn't understand what had happened. Taehoon called them annoying bugs. He said it was time to get rid of them. Nuri begged him not to and agreed to go with him. Just don't hurt them. Taehoon thought that she loved justice and that she had a double rank, which was rare even in the world of dragons. It was like finding a precious stone among boulders. Her characteristics were terrible due to the difference in races, but she could be well trained. Taehoon said it was great that he had chosen her, so she should take his hand. Then he explained that there was nothing to be afraid of. It was just a sealing ritual. After that, they disappeared, and when they woke up, they didn't understand what had just happened. After that, reinforcements arrived and treated the wounded. The leader, Shinho, approached Siren. He couldn't believe that one awakened had destroyed 6 enemies with his own hands and then taken their man away. Siren said she couldn't believe it herself, but he said his name was Taehoon, and he was looking for Jean's office. Shinho asked why she hadn't said so earlier. Siren asked if they wanted to catch him and said it was impossible. No one could defeat such a monster. Nuri showed Taehoon where Jean's office was. He asked if it was there, and she said they were almost there. She didn't know what to do and decided that maybe she should tell everyone where she was, so she wanted to send her geolocation. Taehoon said there was no need to send their location. She was sealed, so he knew what she was thinking. The girl she was with had heard that he was looking for them, and that they were like little bugs to him, so there was no point in them coming. He warned her that she couldn't escape and that she already belonged to him, so she should just keep showing him the way. Nuri told her to follow her. Taehoon thought about his grandmother, whom he still couldn't forget after spending hundreds of years of trials in hell. He was sure that he would finally see her again. Then he asked Nuri what had happened and told her not to make him angry. Nuri said that they had arrived. In front of them was Jean's destroyed office. Taehoon got angry and asked who did it. Sirena told her colleagues that she had done a little investigation and found out his name was Taehoon. She also found the address of Jean's office. The system pointed to one person, and it was definitely him. His name was Bente Taehong. Sirena laughed because his name meant pervert. Everyone found it funny that his name had such a meaning when he could destroy 6th-level monsters with a single blow. Sinho told her that he also laughed, but did she realize how strange she looked now? He was just an ordinary student at a Korean university. He wasn't even awakened, just an ordinary young man whose only family was his aunt. Serena said she remembered the battle. It happened between the Daega and Ilsum guilds. The man said that if he really was Bente, then things were very serious. He would want revenge, so they had to hurry. Taehoon asked Nuri what had happened. She replied that she didn't know the details, but for some reason there was a conflict between the guilds. They hurried to stop them, but several buildings were destroyed. Many people lost their lives. Taehoon found his photo and thought of his grandmother. He was lost in memories of his grandmother asking him if he had eaten well, and noticing that he had grown very tall. Taehoon helped her, and she said that he had become very strong and thanked him for his help. It was only thanks to her grandson that she was able to live in a nice house. It wasn't just an apartment. Taehoon told her to wait a little longer. He wanted so much to bring her to a new, better house and live there with her. Nuri sensed his sadness. Taehoon asked her who had done this. He was angry and wanted to find them. After that, a man approached him and asked if he was Mr. Bente. The man introduced himself and said his name was Kang Shin-ho. He was a member of the White Tiger Division of the National Intelligence Service and asked if he could talk to him. Sin-ho sensed an incredible aura from him and thought that he was at least as skilled as A. Taehoon replied that he was feeling very unwell at the moment. If they valued their lives, they should leave. Sin-ho said that he knew what had happened and that they were currently investigating the incident. They knew that the criminals were from the Awakened Alliance, but they had not yet established their identities. Taehoon said that was enough. Sin-ho asked where he was going, and he said he was going to visit the Awakened Alliance. Sin-ho thought that he was going to destroy the entire Awakened Alliance on his own, but he might be able to do it. So he told the White Tiger unit to stop him. They said that he wasn't even an enemy and asked why they should neutralize him. They had to be careful because destroying an awakened one was still a crime. Another girl from the unit said she was glad. She thought that they would finally get to fight a worthy opponent, but what he was offering was boring. The guy said that if he was awakened, he definitely wouldn't die, and then he used his power. Taehoon dodged the attack. Another guy from the unit said that he seemed strong, so he decided to test whether he could withstand his blow. Taehoon stopped his attack, and he couldn't believe how that was even possible. After that, he hit him. Another guy asked him not to do anything, and he told them to just get out of the way. Serena said that she had told them that they couldn't stop this monster and that it was no joke. This man would destroy the entire alliance on his own. Sunho understands that Serena is right and he doesn't know how to stop him. Nuri grabbed his arm and said that he couldn't do that. Taehoon asked how she dared to stop him since she was subject to his will. He doesn't understand how she can contradict him. After all, he performed a ritual imprinting his personality on her soul. She can never betray him. She must follow him in everything, but now she seems to have rebelled. Her willpower and potential are much higher than he expected. Nuri said that there are many good people in the Alliance of the Awakened. They are ready to fight to the last to save humanity, even if there are enemies among them. There are people among the Awakened who help those whom they could not help. She understands how much he is hurting, and her heart is breaking with compassion. She is sad and hurt. Taehoon is surprised that so little time has passed. And she already understands and feels him so well. Nuri was told that to prevent this from happening, some people fight and defend the powerless. That is why she asks him. Tekon wondered why he had returned to this world. His grandmother said that he did not need to study or play sports. He just had to listen to her and be a good boy. That way, he would grow up and be able to help many people. Tekon thanked Nuri and said that thanks to her, he remembered why he came back here. He came back to be with his loved ones. But he was too late, and there was no way to fix it. Now he wanted to protect people just like his grandmother had told him. Nuri was delighted that he had made this decision. He said that if she hadn't been able to appeal to his pity, she would have died by his sword. She was under his power, so he would not allow such freedom again. Nuri was frightened by his words. Turning to the unit, he said that if they were all under his control, he would not join the Alliance of the Awakened, or whatever it was called. He would work with them for a while on one condition. Serena wondered what under his power meant. Sun Ho told him to continue. Tekon asked them to find his grandmother's assassins and gave them 3 days to do so. After that, the unit returned to their headquarters in Seoul. The man asked Commander Kana why he didn't report immediately if the situation had been resolved and where he had been all this time. He asked what had happened, why they had not been in contact, and where Commander Kim was. Shinho apologized to his boss and said he had been busy dealing with the aftermath. The boss said he was most interested in how they had stopped this enemy. He replied that he would provide a detailed report tomorrow. He agreed and then asked who this guy was. Was he another awakened one? Shinho replied that he was a new awakened one they had encountered. The boss was surprised and asked if he was an unregistered awakened one, so he suggested testing him and filling out the paperwork. Shinho wondered if he really decided to test the Demon King. Taehan asked if they were going to test him and said it was ridiculous. But he agreed anyway. Taehan asked why there were so many people there, and Serena replied that most of them had come in hopes of becoming awakened. Tekon asked if they really wanted him to wait his turn. Serena replied that she would ask the administration and that he would probably be let through soon. She understood that if he was forced to wait in that line, only heaven knew what might happen. So she immediately went to the administration. She said she was from the National Intelligence Agency, White Tiger Division. The man said he had been warned about them. She must have brought Mr. Tekon Bente for testing, but she could see the queue, so they would have to wait. Even if the awakened one was very powerful, they couldn't let him skip the line. After all, nothing would happen if he waited a few hours. Siren thought that she shouldn't say such things in front of him. Tekon asked how they dared to make him wait, especially because of these people who mean nothing. Nuri mentally appealed to him and asked him not to destroy anyone. Tekon approached the guy who was first in line, and the guy told him that there was a line. Then he saw people lying behind him. Then Tekon told him to get out of the way. He believed that judging these nobodies was a waste of time, so let them test him. That is, of course, if they weren't afraid. After that, they sent him for testing, and all the awakened ones were given help. The boss asked what had happened. Each of the awakened ones had gold, and he had done this. Nuri said they were lucky he hadn't done worse. The master could have destroyed them, and now he is being lenient. The boss doesn't understand why everyone is reacting this way. But everyone agreed with her and believed that they were lucky that he hadn't forced everyone to kneel before him. Sun Ho told the head to get ready, and he asked why. Sun Ho said that the record for the highest level among the awakened in Korea was about to be broken. Everyone prepared for the test, and they asked Taehoon if he could see the ball. This device is called a measuring sphere. Since he is a magician, or more precisely an awakened magician, he must use his ability to attack the sphere. To do this, he had to use all his strength. Taehoon was surprised that he had to deliver his strongest blow to this pathetic ball. If he did so, the entire building would be blown up. Therefore, he decided to use just enough force so as not to cause any problems or consequences. He wanted to blow it up, but his magic with mana did not work. He did not understand why this happened, because he had read the spell perfectly. He was asked to calm down because nothing terrible had happened, and he used his power again and blew up the sphere. The testers couldn't believe that the sphere was broken into small pieces. The strongest awakened S-class, Anderson, only split the sphere into 2 pieces. And that was a world record. The girl thanked him and said it was time to move on to more detailed stages of the test. Tekon said he didn't see the point in this, and that it was obvious that none of the toys in their facility could withstand his power. He didn't want to waste any more time and wanted to get results right away. That was the end of the test. The employees were surprised that the test ended so quickly. Nuri asked if the test was really that interesting. This institution studied the abilities of the awakened in great detail. Then Nuri said that there was a cafe she liked to go to. So she suggested that Tekon go there while everyone else looked at the test results. Then she asked how it went. According to the test results, Tekon belonged to the S-class. Nuri and Tekon went to the cafe and he said that it was so boring that he almost started yawning. Tekon ordered green tea and wondered if it had always been so bitter. Nuri asked if he wanted to try her drink. She would order something else for herself. Taehoon agreed and after trying her drink said it was good. Nuri asked what type of awakened he was. In her opinion, he was the type who enhanced his physical abilities for battle. He replied that he guessed he would be classified as a magic type. Since returning here, he had not yet used his true power. He had only used spells to enhance his body. He hadn't even used magic during the tests. Returning here had made him feel nostalgic. So he didn't even pay attention to such trifles. Some abilities cannot be used outside the demon world. Nuri couldn't believe that magic couldn't be used in this world. She said she understood everything. and she thought that he must be the one who can create magic. Tekon said that she should stop thinking nonsense about him, because he can see everything. If he could summon his castle, the problem would be solved, but it seemed like it would take a long time. He couldn't summon it here, because then this small building would be crushed. The boss came to announce the test results and said that Tekon belonged to the S-class. He congratulated him on becoming the first S-class awakened in South Korea. Nuri said that was wonderful. Tekon said that there was nothing to be surprised about and that it was obvious, but they didn't come here for no reason, so let them say directly what they want. The boss said that in that case, he would explain everything. The thing is, but Taehoon didn't even want to listen and immediately refused. Everyone tried to convince him that this was a great opportunity, and that if he officially announced that he belonged to the S rank, he would receive support and fame. Moreover, it would help him get money from large corporations. Tekon said that it annoyed him, and that if he needed money, he would earn it. He promised to help them, so they should at least be grateful for that. Nuri thought that the master must love coffee. Tekon said he would help them, but only if they fulfilled his condition. Meanwhile, one man had already found out about this criminal. He decided that he had to find him because with that level of power, no awakened person could stop them. The National Intelligence Agency decided not to disclose Tekon's rank. He and Nuri were taken to a place where they could stay. As long as he cooperated with them, they would provide him with all possible support. The boss was upset because it was a great opportunity. They could boast that an S-class awakened had finally appeared in their country. Serena said that in that case, the global balance of power would be shaken if the whole world found out that they had such an awakened person. Until then, S-rank awakened people had only been spotted in China and the United States. The boss said that if they left international issues aside, people would feel safe knowing that there was an awakened S-rank in their country. But it was a shame that it had turned out this way. Tekon and Nuri were taken to the right place, and Nuri said she had never seen such a big house before. Tekon said that it couldn't compare to his castle, but it wasn't so bad, so they went inside to settle in. 3 days later, Kang Shin-ho, the commander of the White Tiger unit, came to Taehoon and heard the sounds of battle. He didn't understand what was happening and went inside to see Tekon training Nuri. Tekon said that it wasn't enough. She had to attack him with all her strength, so they had to continue. After that, they continued to fight. Nuri attacked him by surprise and thought she would succeed, but Taehoon blocked her attack and said they needed to take a break for now. She still wasn't up to his standards, but she was making progress, so she shouldn't stop training. That way, she would quickly reach A rank. But Taehoon believes that to be considered his disciple, she must be at least S rank. Nuri said that today was the last day, because he had set a deadline earlier. She asked if he was really going to destroy everyone now. Taehoon replied that he had given them enough time, so there was no more mercy to be expected. Nuri said that their lives were also important. Taehoon thought that he hadn't heard those words in centuries. The demon realm was a hell where only the strongest survived. Life there was worth almost nothing. Her words seemed to bring him back to his senses. Tekon said that this would not be just insane destruction, but revenge for the death of his grandmother, and a measure to prevent something like this from happening in the future. When one innocent soul dies, another survives. Nuri said she understood everything. Tekon thought that he had become more lenient. He began to say unnecessary things to his companions. Sun-ho could no longer eavesdrop and approach them, saying that he had brought something. He asked if they had a minute. Taehoon said yes, but noted that he could have called. Sin-ho said he wanted to meet in person. He noticed that Nuri had changed in just a few days, as if she had become a different person. He thought that this man was the reason. Taehoon said that he didn't like wasting time. Shin-ho apologized to him. Then he said that, as promised, the results of the investigation were ready. The incident was caused by members of the Ilsim Guild. Ilsim is a company that turned from a gang into a guild of awakened ones after their leader Kim Gil-tae awakened. Although they are considered a guild of awakened ones, they are reluctant to destroy their enemies. They are criminals who torment ordinary citizens. They are also a threat to the agency. However, they are connected to the Awakened Association, so nothing can be done about them. If you mess with them, you'll have to deal with the association. Taehoon said that people like them are everywhere and they are lucky. Therefore, they can get rid of the trash without getting their hands dirty. Sun-ho said that they hadn't even thought about it and weren't going to do anything. Taehoon said that if they were criminals, there was no need to explain anything further. He asked them to wait because revenge was coming. Guild leader Ilsim Kim Gil-tae said that they had captured the reptile and would soon eliminate the businesses that were causing damage and introduce franchises. They were on a roll, so they could thank the National Intelligence Service, which was working tirelessly to protect the country. Even ordinary people like them can make a fortune. After that, the guild was attacked. The subordinates asked the boss if he was okay. After all, they had to protect him. They didn't understand who dared to mess with the Ilsim Guild. All the guild members started to flee the building. Then they saw something on the guild building and asked what it was. They heard a voice telling them to redeem their sins. They did not understand what was happening or what it was at all. Taehoon asked if they had been awakened by the Ilsim Guild. Then he said that they must confess their sins and bow their heads before him in repentance. Only then would he destroy them painlessly. The guild leader decided that it was all his fault and that he had to be destroyed. A member of the guild thought that this was his chance to raise his rank, so he tried to attack his opponent. Taehoon said that this was their last chance and he was not going to spare them anymore. They did not understand what was wrong with him. One of the members apologized and said he was leaving. The others called him a coward. Tekon asked who said they could run away. Then he attacked the guy and immediately destroyed him, saying that he had offered them a painless death, but none of them had a chance to escape. Gilte decided to run away. Another member of the guild told him to stop the guy and then asked Gilte where he was going. He replied that the leader had to stay alive. Tekon said that the boss had run away, abandoning his comrades and leaving his own followers behind. So he thought that this world was no better than the kingdom of demons. After that, they all fled inside the building. One of them said that these were all magic stones. Their doors and walls were impenetrable. The guild leader thought that they had destroyed the last district. He believed that his subordinates would clean everything up well. A member of the guild told him not to worry and asked how many people they had. The guy ordered everyone to gather and said that if they fought inside the building, they could even defeat an A-rank hunter. They told their opponent to come closer, thinking that he had gone mad and was very strong, but they decided to destroy this high-ranking awakened one. Tekon said that was great and that the more the better. That way it would be easier for him to destroy them. He dealt with everyone one by one. The head of the guild waited outside the door, hoping that this would help. Tekon went inside and said that rats always hide. They couldn't believe that he had dealt with all the awakened ones by himself. A guild member started screaming that the door wouldn't open and begged for help because he didn't want to die. Tekon grabbed him and said that he had sacrificed the lives of innocent people and now he was saying he didn't want to die. Gilte thought he was just a monster. He asked why he was doing this to them. Tekon said that he wanted to wipe their guild off the face of the earth and asked him to give him one reason to let him live. Gilte thought that he was still holding a grudge and said that they had no choice, and it was just self-defense. The guild attacked them first. Tekon said that the guild didn't even have a chance to fight back and asked if he thought he knew nothing. Gilte wondered if he really knew everything or was just testing him. Then he decided to attack him and destroy him. He asked if he really thought he would just sit there and take it. Tekon grabbed him and said he would give him a minute. So let him try again, and this would be his last chance. Gilte attacked him again. Tehon thought he couldn't lose to this nobody. The only reason he came back to this world was for his grandmother. Gilte told him it would hurt, but Tekon struck him. He asked why since a minute hadn't even passed. Tehun said he had changed his mind and decided to destroy them all. He also wanted to make them feel all the pain. Gilte started calling for help and asked why he cared about their deaths. He begged him to spare him and was ready to give him anything he wanted, but Tehun finished what he started. After that, the agency arrived at the scene. The boss said that he really hadn't spared anyone and that they were in big trouble. But the Alliance of the Awakened would not stand aside. They could not pretend that nothing had happened. Even the association cannot let the fact that this guy destroyed an entire guild of 52 people go unpunished. So they have to punish him. But they don't know how to defeat an awakened S-class. They live in a country of law and order and cannot allow anyone to take the law into their own hands. But they'll talk about destruction later. Right now, there are more important questions to address. They need to work out a plan of action in connection with the opening of the gate. Recently, the gates to another dimension have been opening more frequently. There has also been a surge in activity, 12 times a week. 4 of these cases were in Seoul. In addition, unusual monsters of the 4th and 6th levels are emerging from the gates, and they are more vicious than ever. Their awakened opponents are no match for them, so they are lucky to have at least one S-class member. This time, he will deal with it. But that doesn't mean he can do whatever he wants, because the agency will be forced to ask higher authorities to intervene. He must know that they are aware of his every move and regret what he has done. An agency employee asked how to do that if he's not even human. Should he just walk up and tell him to be lower than the grass and quieter than water? The man noted that he had raised his voice and the other apologized, but he understands their position and this is an unusual situation. They were facing an uncontrollable force that knew no bounds. His power was unlimited, and the fate of their country was in his hands. Techon took a shower and Nuri decided that now she had to take care of his clothes. She wanted to bring him a shirt, but she saw that there were identical shirts hanging in the closet and thought that the people at the agency had no taste at all. She called Tehon Master and told him she had brought him some clothes so he could get dressed after his shower. But then he came out completely naked and she started screaming. Tehun asked why she was screaming. Nuri asked him why he came out of the shower without any clothes on. She handed him his clothes and apologized, then ran away. Tekon thought he had hired a stupid maid. After a while, she approached him on the street. She was worried that he hadn't spoken to her for several days and was probably devastated by what he had done. Before that, the agency boss had asked her to calm her employer down. Nuri wondered how to cheer him up because he seemed very upset to her. So she suggested that they go shopping to buy him some clothes, and she also needed something. Tekon said it was a good idea. Nuri was surprised that he agreed so quickly and said she would get ready and they would go. Tekon said there was one thing. She didn't understand what he meant and thought that her master wasn't interested in shopping because he was tired of it or didn't think she was worth it. Tekon said he didn't have any money. Nuri calmed down and remembered that he hadn't been paid yet. She said she could lend him some, but he replied that a master had no need to borrow money. Then he took out a magic stone. He said that if he sold the stones, he would have enough money. Nuri took him to the exchange office run by the National Intelligence Agency. There, people exchange valuables obtained from monsters for money, but it is not only for agency employees. People from the Association of the Awakened also use this exchange, so if he wants to sell precious stones, he needs to go there. They went in, and a woman greeted them and asked what precious stones they wanted to sell. According to the rules, they had to conduct an appraisal. Therefore, they had to show the item that would be put up for sale. Tekon took out the stone, and the woman asked them to wait a few minutes. She turned to Mr. Pak and said that people had come who wanted to sell a nugget. He replied not to bother him with trifles. If it was below the second level, she should deal with it herself. She said that she had never seen a stone of this size before. Mr. Park told her to let them in. Nuri introduced herself to him. Park Sun-ho also introduced himself and said he was from the 3rd Sales Department. He wondered why a girl from intelligence had suddenly come to him. He was told that she had brought a large nugget, but he was curious about who had come with her and thought it was some kind of homeless person. They couldn't let just anyone into the exchange. This could damage their reputation and the trash would have to be taken out. But then Tae-hoon took out the stone. Park Sun-ho had never seen anything like it. He didn't understand what kind of nugget it was and didn't know its value. Tekon asked how much it would cost. Park Sun-ho apologized to him. He said that they couldn't afford a stone of that size yet. They would have to negotiate with the central bank. Taekon broke it into several pieces and asked how much they would give for such a stone. Park Sun-ho was even more surprised. He had never seen anyone break a natural stone before. Even one like this was worth at least several tens of billions. Park Sun-ho said that they could buy that size, but he would have to negotiate with the Ministry of Finance for such an amount. Therefore, they would have to wait. Tae-hoon said that would not work. He had been told that this was the largest exchange in Korea, and they could not even buy a single stone. He was disappointed. Park Sun-ho thought he was very arrogant. Nuri said they needed the money now, so let them pay at least part of it. Park Sun-ho said that's not how it works. Nuri remarked that she knew something. The Planning Bureau allows them to get nuggets for less money. Just think how much money they would make on such a deal. Wouldn't they even try for that? So if they gave them $1 billion right now, they would agree. Park Sun-ho thought she was very rude, and how she could even propose a deal that would harm the Planning Bureau. But he agreed. He was frightened by the look on the young man's face and wondered who he was and why he was looking at him like a wild animal. Tekon said that the money had arrived, and Nuri was delighted that now they could go shopping, so she suggested that he choose some clothes first. He agreed and said that she was great for persuading this man to make a deal. Nuri thanked him. Park Sun-ho thought about how they dared to exploit him. His member of the upper class, he would have to show them the true power of money. He called a few people and told them he had a job for them. He needed them to deal with a couple. Nuri suggested that her boss go to a store. Tae-hoon replied that she could buy whatever she wanted and that he didn't need anything. She said that wouldn't work because they had come here for him today, so she took him by the hand and pulled him along. Then she suggested that he dress up nicely. Tekon thought to himself that the more he got to know her, the more he was surprised by her. She seemed interesting and unusual to him. After that, they went to a clothing store. A salesperson greeted them at the entrance. He asked if they needed any help. Nuri immediately chose a suit for her master and asked if he could show it to him. She asked him to dress her master from head to toe and said she wanted the best they had. She told him not to worry about the price. Tekon felt very bored because of this. Meanwhile, new gates opened in the city. The shop assistants finished their work and were surprised to see their boss, Nuri. The salesman said that the suit fit well. Tekon said he wasn't used to such clothes and asked his maid what she thought. At first, she didn't know what to say. She couldn't take her eyes off him and then said that he looked incredible. Taeyeon asked if she was serious. She said she swore he was incredible and couldn't wait to tell everyone that he was her master. Tekon said it was time to go. Nuri asked if he wanted to admire himself in the mirror and he said no. She said he looked good. That was enough for him, so now they had to go and get her whatever she wanted. Nuri was delighted that her master liked him. She thought that all her efforts had not been in vain. Tekon told her to stop shaking and that they had to go. Nuri tried on the clothes and jewelry and bought many different things. Then they decided to have a snack. She was again surprised by how much coffee her master had drunk. After that, they noticed something strange and went outside. Nuri asked if it was what she thought it was, and he replied that yes, the gate had opened. He had never seen anything like it before, and it was very strange. The gate opened immediately without any warning signs. So it was an unknown gate. When they appear, it means catastrophic consequences. A large number of high-level monsters come out of them. Taekon said that judging by their appearance, what comes out of the gate will be stronger than last time. Nuri called the director and told him that there was trouble. An unknown gate had opened. Then she started yelling at people to run away. People started to panic and then ran in different directions, pushing each other. The director asked Nuri to repeat what she said. She saw a lost girl and told the director that they were in a shopping center and that a gate had suddenly opened. A huge monster came out of the gate. Fortunately, the owner was with them and they evacuated the people. The director said they would be there soon. Nuri told Tekon that help would arrive soon and that she would help the people evacuate in the meantime. A dragon came out of the gate. They are cruel, powerful, insane creatures. They are demigods from birth. In the demonic world, he defeated one. It was one of the most powerful creatures. The dragon did not want to submit, so he had to deal with it. Tekon thought that his time had finally come. At last, he had a worthy opponent who would not die from a single blow even with all his strength. Nuri asked her master to save the people. Tekon noticed a girl standing and crying. This world was too weak and no one could stand against him, neither monsters nor humans. It was definitely too fragile for him. It was like a sandcastle swarming with ants, and that annoyed him. In the demon realm, the strongest always prevailed. Compassion for the weak was a luxury, and there was no point in protecting them. He had lived there for hundreds of years, and this world broke all the rules. He feels uncomfortable when his power is suppressed, so he said that he had had enough, and this is his first enemy in all those years. No one can stop him. Nuri asked him again to save the people. She understands that she cannot stop all the monsters. But she decided she had to do everything she could, so she tried to attack the monsters. She flew up into the air. Then she saw the same girl and her mother below. Rocks were falling on them, and she was afraid she wouldn't be able to save them. But Tekon saved them using his magic. He told Nuri to evacuate the people, saying that from now on he didn't care about anyone. This included his subordinates, but he didn't want to be a bad master. Nuri thanked him and went to save the people. She told everyone to follow her. Tekon thought that a few seconds of fighting wouldn't hurt for the sake of his subordinate, but he didn't like what was above him. Nuri led the people to safety. Tekon spread his wings and flew up to the dragon, asking him to let him help. Then he flew even higher and said that nothing would interfere with their battle on the surface, so Nuri should wait. Rising as high as he could, he asked the dragon if it had woken up and said that nothing could stop him here, so let it attack. It seemed that he had lived for many years and he should not be taken for a fool. Tekon reviewed the information about him and saw that he had lost himself because of a contract. Tekon asked if he had made a contract with someone, given his soul, and broken the laws of the Seven Kingdoms, and that was very bad. Now the human world was after him, and if the dragon's breath reached the ground, a catastrophe would begin, but he could prevent it. Only then would everything lose its meaning. The dragon tried to attack him, and he said that he had just bought this suit, so it wasn't worth ruining it. They began to fight, and Tekon hadn't felt this way in a long time. Finally, someone wasn't dying from the slightest touch. He noticed that this dragon possessed magic. He used it to create a shield and deflect his blows. Even if a few blows got through, the effect would not be the best. Tekon could not yet control magic throughout the world, but there was nothing that his power could not destroy. He just didn't like such boring battles, so he decided to use something. Tekon took out the Exelon dragon blade and asked the dragon if he recognized it. This sword was forged from the spine of his relative, the dragon Zikma. It was the worst thing he could face. The dragon became enraged, but Tekon struck him, and he could no longer use his breath. Tekon said that now he would not be able to use magic for his dirty tricks, and that it was his turn. They continued their battle, and Tahan said that he was pretty good and that now he would show him. The dragon used 6th level explosive magic. Tahan asked if he really thought that would work against him. If so, he was mistaken. Even using magic, he would not defeat him. Tahan had maximum resistance to magic. Tekon asked if that was all he was capable of. If so, it was time to show his true power. Meanwhile, reinforcements had arrived. The awakened ones were treating the people. They also noticed that the gate's reactivity was decreasing. The gate gradually closed. After a while, it closed completely and the effects were eliminated. The whole team breathed a sigh of relief, and Zhongwo asked Nuri where her master and that monster had gone. She replied that they were upstairs. He asked if she meant that they had ascended into the sky. He did not expect that at all, and if it was what he thought it was, then that was a different matter. But he did not understand how such a thing was even possible. Jun Wooman, awakened in the class of the Alliance of the Awakened, asked how a huge monster could have disappeared and whether it had really flown into space. He wasn't sure if Nuri could be trusted and said that she had gone mad, so she should stop talking nonsense and tell the truth. Nuri said that this is the truth. Zhang Yuman believes that they have no idea where the monster is. Zhang Wo said that they had just dealt with the people. After that, they will provide a detailed report. Jun Wooman said that the Alliance of the Awakened is not here to correct their mistakes, and that they have more important things to do. Or they'd lied about a 7th level monster appearing at the gate. Kang Sung-ho said enough. No matter what position he holds in the Alliance, it does not give him the right to speak to them like that. They will not tolerate it and will file a complaint. Jun Wooman said that they couldn't do their job properly and decided to complain. Did he really think that all awakened ones had the same power? They weren't government lapdogs like them. Nuri saw something happening in the sky. Everyone else noticed it too. Something was falling directly toward them, so everyone had to take cover immediately. People began to flee quickly. Nuri saw her master and rejoiced. Tekon said that they probably should have descended more slowly so as not to cause panic. Jun Wooman didn't understand what was going on. He saw a giant monster and had never seen such a large creature before. Nuri told Tekon that they had to leave quickly. Jun Wooman didn't understand who this man who had come down from the sky was or who he was at all. Sin-ho thanked him and said that he did a great job, but he has something to discuss with him. Nuri hugged her master. After that, Shin-ho used his assistant Uriel to make sure no one could hear them. Taehan noticed that this creature was from a fantasy world. It was quite an impressive skill to summon a creature from the upper 7 dimensions. Shin-ho said that their situation had become more complicated. Because of how Taehan solved this problem, Taehan asked what he meant. He said that now everyone knows how strong he is. Because he single-handedly defeated a 7th level monster whose appearance was known throughout the country. This news would quickly spread around the world. In their world, the balance of power between countries is determined by the presence of S-class hunters. Tahoon said that he talks too much and should get down to business. After all, the only thing he hates more than rudeness is wasting time. Sun Ho said that they would probably have to officially announce his existence. Tekon said that this was not for him. Shinho knew that he would not succeed and did not know how to negotiate with this monster. In his opinion, it was simply impossible, but Taehoon said to let it be and that they had to do what they had to do. Sinho asked if he really agreed, and he said there was no need to make him repeat himself, but he didn't need any extra problems. Then he took out the magic stone and said that they could consider it a reward for not giving him any extra trouble. Anderson, the awakened S-Class, was informed that the operation had been cancelled. He asked why this had happened so suddenly. The man said that information had been received that the 7th level monster that had appeared in Korea had already been eliminated. And the one who eliminated it turned out to be Korea's new awakened S-Class. Tekon was upset because he had just bought a suit and it was already torn to pieces. Nuri suggested that he just buy another one. Jun Woomin was curious about who this person was. He descended from the sky with a huge monster and then took a crystal from it that was larger than anything he had ever seen. When people see something they don't understand, they usually react in one of two ways. First, they accept what they see, or they completely deny it. Nuri suggested that the owner wear casual clothes next time. He asked what casual meant. Their conversation was interrupted by Jong Yuman, who said that he understood what was going on and thought that they were playing a prank. It's all just a show and doesn't happen in real life, but he almost believed it. Jong Yuman asked what it was and said it must be some kind of projection. He was amazed at how far modern technology had come. Shinho told him to calm down and listen to them. He asked what he was supposed to listen to. Shinho understands that it's hard to believe, but there's no point in denying it. Soon, the National Intelligence Service will make an official announcement about the appearance of a new awakened S-Class in their country, and he is standing in front of him. Junwoo said that they were taking him for a fool and that he was as much an S-Class as his grandmother, so now he understood everything. Their national intelligence had set this up from the beginning. They probably want to scare the alliance of awakened ones with their fake S-Class. Sunho said that it all happened right before his eyes. Jun Woomin said that a level 7 monster suddenly appeared in the middle of Seoul and disappeared into the sky. And then it fell from the sky, and who would believe them because people aren't that naive. Nuri said that enough was enough, and that her master wasn't fake and that he was a real S-Class. If it weren't for her master, all these people in Seoul would have been wiped off the face of the earth. But instead of thanking him, he calls him a fake. Jun Woomin asked how she, an awakened member of the lower class, dared to interfere in the conversation of those above her. Is that really how they are taught in intelligence? They have no sense of subordination whatsoever. But what else can be expected from their leadership since they are all crooks and slobs? Tekon said that he was barking loudly, but to him it was just empty noise. He was going to ignore him because he wasn't worth his attention, but he would not let him get away with being rude to his subordinate. He was not known for his generosity, so he was just giving him a warning. Never again should he insult him or his subordinates, or his demise would be painful and unbearable. After that, Taehoon tells Nuri that they need to go. Ho doesn't even want to imagine what will come of all this, so he decides not to think about it. The National Intelligence Service officially announced the registration of the first awakened S-Class in Korea, Taehoon Bente. Mr. Taehoon Bente destroyed a monster from an unknown gate that unexpectedly appeared above a shopping center in Seoul. This information appeared in the news. Sun Ho said that they had announced it. Taehoon asked that there be no unnecessary trouble for him. Sun Ho replied that, unfortunately, trouble could not be avoided. There was nothing they could do about it. He was the only S-Class in the country, and there were only 9 of them in the world. In terms of strength, he surpassed all lower-level awakened ones. In their country, no organization, let alone any of the awakened, can challenge him. Therefore, for now, they will leave him alone. They also have concerns that other countries have not yet made any statements. Until now, they had no S-Class awakened ones. Therefore, South Korea was despised by the United States, China, Japan, and other countries. These countries are considered the main centers of power in the world. But now that they have him, everything has changed. The US and Japan tried to impose a huge debt on them in connection with the opening of the unknown gate. Now that they know that the enemy has been eliminated, they are in confusion. But their confusion will not last long. They will definitely try to restore the balance of power by eliminating their advantage. Therefore, they need allies. A request for a meeting with him has just arrived from a special unit of the US Army, Wolf. They are very interested in him and want to meet him. Tekon said he refuses. Sun Ho noted that this is their chance to gain allies in the US. Tekon replied that he is not interested. He is not interested in the so-called powerful worlds, and is annoyed that everything he bought in the store for that rare stone has been destroyed. So Taehoon hopes that he will no longer bother him. Nuri doesn't know what to do or how to convince her master. She remembered that it was at the moment when he saw the dragon that he showed a keen interest. Therefore, Nuri decided to inquire about the special wolf unit. Does the awakened S-Class Anderson serve in this unit? He is said to be the strongest of the awakened ones. Sun Ho said that this was true. If Mr. Taekon accepted the offer to meet, he would talk to him. Anderson, the strongest awakened in the world, was the one who initiated the request for a meeting with Mr. Taehoon. Tahoon said that it was interesting, and now he was really interested. Nuri realized that the only ones who could interest him were those of equal strength. He agreed, and the awakened ones from the US arrived in Korea to meet him. The strongest awakened ones were pleased with how they were welcomed. Anderson told the awakened ones that they were acting like children, and that they had better promise not to cause trouble as usual. They said that wasn't interesting. Otherwise, why would they have come to this small country? Anderson told Jensen that this was a visit to an ally. Therefore, there was no need to cause chaos like last time. They knew very well that the Pentagon had given them specific tasks. So they had to be restrained and remember their mission. And when the order was given, they could do whatever they wanted here. A special unit of the US Army Wolf arrived at the location. Some of them noted that they had not come here to have fun. The Pentagon has assigned them 2 missions. First, recruit a new awakened S rank, and then test his strength. The guy said he would deal with the other one and that Anderson should focus on the mission. But if he refused, it would be the end of him. Techno was tired of waiting for them, so he decided to check the news and saw a special report about S-rank hunter Ryan Anderson. He was called the strongest awakened in the world. His enemies were strong enough to destroy the entire world, but he destroyed them with the sword Excalibur. Tekon thought that he must be one of the best fighters in the world. Nuri reported that the wolves were finally in place, so he should follow her and she would guide him. Nuri was delighted to finally meet her former idol, and it was obvious that her idol was now her master. Tekon thought that it seemed that there was no technology in this world that allowed the body to be modified. He had undergone surgery in the demon realm. He modified his body with the help of Gnosis, so he could not be considered a pure-blooded human. In the demon realm, he met many powerful beings, but there were no pure humans there at all. Nuri invited her master, and he became curious about such powerful, pure humans. He entered the office, and the man said that they were here. He had heard of Tahoon, but this was their first meeting, so he was happy to meet him. The man extended his hand and said that he was Chung Ho Min, Director of National Intelligence. But Tekon did not react, and Nuri apologized for her master's behavior. Chung Ho Min said that everything was fine. He noticed that he seemed interested in someone else, so he decided to introduce him to the team from the States. Chen Sen, an awakened A rank, approached Tahoon and said he was glad to meet him. Nuri was surprised that he spoke Korean so well. Or maybe it was the translation spell. She looked at her boss and thought that they weren't worthy of his attention. Tekon looked through the information about Anderson and thought he was strong enough to defeat the dragon. Jensen called him arrogant. Then he approached them, pushed Chen-sen aside, and asked Tahoon if he was paying too much attention to Anderson. They shook hands, and Jensen asked if it was not customary in Korea to observe manners, and if it might have been appropriate to at least shake hands as a sign of respect. Jensen wondered how he could be S rank and decided to deal with him himself. Nuri immediately noticed that something was wrong. Tekon squeezed his hand tightly, and Jensen barely withstood the force. This angered him, and he decided to deal with him. But Tahoon decided to strike back, and Anderson stopped them and said that was enough. He apologized for his friend's rudeness. He noted that his actions were also not very appropriate, so perhaps they should stop there. Tahoon agreed. Anderson put away his sword and told Chen-sen to take their friend away. Shinho thought that the conflict was probably inevitable. He thought that they should probably call the doctors in advance in case something happened. Nuri said that they had a doctor and she would take them there. Anderson apologized again and said that his friend had a difficult personality, but he thought it would be a lesson for him. He didn't want to waste time on pointless fights. Tekon said that if he had something to say, he should say it quickly. Anderson noticed that he had called the awakened A rank too weak, but he was right, so it was better not to argue with him. He decided to get straight to the point and asked if he wanted to join them in the States. It was clear that he would get many benefits. Tekon refused. John Homan was surprised that the United States wanted to steal his awakened one. Tekon said not to make him repeat himself. He said no, and they probably understood that, but they were probably also interested in testing his strength. So Tahoon suggested testing her with his fists. Anderson said it was a wonderful suggestion. Jensen was taken to the doctor, who treated him. He said it was all his fault. Chen-sen said he was to blame. But Jensen continued to say that how dare he behave like that with the best awakened in the world and that he must have completely lost his mind. Because of this, he couldn't keep his cool. Chen-sen noted that this guy was one of the strongest S ranks. Arrogance was understandable for such a powerful person, so he shouldn't go too far. The team was only strong because of Anderson, not because of him. He is only with them because he was lucky enough to acquire a powerful skill, but he should not forget his place. Jensen said he knew that, but he would never admit it. An S rank couldn't have been born in such a weak country. If they had another S rank, they wouldn't have to put up with this. Their conversation was interrupted by Nuri, who said that they were lucky that it ended this way. If the master wanted to, he could have dealt with him in an instant. Jensen laughed and told her that she knew nothing and called her petty. She said that she knew something for sure and who he had called petty. Her boss was the strongest man in the world. They laughed at her for calling him her boss. Jensen said that she had made it up, but that she would soon come to her senses. Now Anderson would put an end to the arrogance of this Mr. Sainty, and he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Director John Homan thought that this had all been arranged in advance to test the combat strength of the states. Although it was a duel, they were both S-rank awakened, so he hoped that at least the building would remain intact. Anderson asked if he needed a weapon. Then he said that in that case, they would fight with their bare hands. Tae-hoon noticed that he had 3rd-level sword skills, so he could be considered a god in this world. To defeat him, it would be better to take a sword as well. Tae-hoon has 8th-level sword skills. No matter what sword he uses, there is only one right choice. On the day he rose to the top of the demon realm, his servants forged it as a sign of loyalty. Anderson noticed that he had opened a portal. He thought it might be a magical system. Tae-hoon said he had kept him waiting, but he had found the right sword for him. It was his favorite sword, the Thunderblade. Anderson said it was very kind of him to think so highly of his Excalibur. He thought he was still a bully in close combat, but he had a rather strange talent. Tae-hoon said he was a magician, but he shouldn't worry about that. He would only use his sword skills against him. Anderson said that his words were full of arrogance, but he would make him regret his words. Anderson wanted to strike, but Tae-hoon dodged. Jong Ho-min was impressed by such power. Anderson usually destroys even 7th-level enemies with his strength. It is the strongest sword technique in the world. Tae-hoon said that was not bad. Anderson did not understand how he dodged without even blinking. There was not a single scratch on him. He became angry and decided that he had to wipe that nasty smile off his face. Tae-hoon liked his actions. They continued the battle, and Tae-hoon said it was time to increase the difficulty level. Anderson realized that this was dangerous. Tae-hoon struck him and he couldn't withstand it. Tae-hoon thought about how he was the strongest among humans and didn't want his end to be like this. Anderson realized that his opponent was very strong. In terms of strength, he was about the same as the 5th-level Bonebreaker he had fought. His skeleton was so strong that he could barely be classified as 5th level. The battle was very long. After his victory, he received his S-class and took his bone and made it into his sword, Excalibur, a sword that cannot be broken. And as the master of his sword, he must never be broken. Anderson stood up and Tae-hoon said that was wonderful. Anderson acknowledged that he was strong, so now he would fight him to the death. Tae-hoon said he really hoped so. Director Jeon Ho-min understands that this cannot be allowed, but he does not know how to stop it. Anderson and Tae-hoon continued their battle. Tae-hoon said that it was very interesting and that he felt a strong vibration. This skill made the blade vibrate. Anderson attacked him, and Tae-hoon liked it and told him to show him everything he was capable of. Chung Ho-min realizes that this is not just a trial battle. If they hurt each other, it will turn into an international scandal. Therefore, he must stop them. He asked his subordinates what to do. The man said that there could be problems, of course, but they were both S-class. Therefore, to stop them, they need a 3rd S-class fighter, which they don't have. They can't do anything and can only hope for the best. Director Jeon Ho-min said that, of course, all they can do is hope that everything will end well. Serena said she thinks Tae-hoon will be able to handle it. He understands that he needs to be more careful with his power, and she thinks that he won't lose control and turn the building into ashes. They were frightened when they saw the intensity of the battle, and Siren said that maybe she was wrong. Director Jeon Ho-min said that judging by his recent behavior, he is trying to protect their country, so she is right. Serena said that she was just worried about Anderson. John Ho-min said that because of their actions, the building might not hold up. Tae-hoon wanted to see the full power of his opponent, but if this continued, they would destroy everything here. Anderson is confident that he is the strongest of the awakened, and that there is no one stronger than him in this world, and he is no exception. He attacked him and thought he had finally won. But Tae-hoon said that he got too carried away, and he would gladly continue. But continuing to fight in this building would endanger the smaller creatures. Therefore, it would be better for them to leave. Anderson realized that he was in danger and was afraid for his life because of his opponent's weak blow. But he cannot lose to him. He used a wind strike, but Tae-hoon stopped him and said that pride was the privilege of the strong, and he was just a weakling. All he knows how to do is brag that he is the strongest in the world and protects everyone, but now he cannot even protect himself. After that, he hit him in the back. This caused the entire building to shake. Jensen said that it looked like they had already started, and that she could begin mourning the loss of her master. He was probably already getting it from Anderson. Most likely he was already on his knees begging for mercy. Nuri told him to shut up because she couldn't listen to insults against her master anymore. Based on her relationship with the Korean S rank, Chen-sen thought she was just a maid, but she was quite strong. Only perhaps she is not quite up to A rank. Maybe she studied with Tae-hoon and has a strange aura, so it's best to be careful with her. Jensen asked if she wanted to compete or if she had released her aura to play soccer. Chen-sen was delighted that his friend was so naive. He decided that he would get useful information from their fight. Nuri suggested that they compete. She thought that in this situation it was worth taking a dominant position. She needed to be as cool and strong as the master. Tae-hoon told her to never let anyone look down on her and to be strong and cool. She also had to be brave. She should not underestimate her opponent and never back down if someone attacks first. She had to act in a way that matched her status as his subordinate. Nuri said that he would regret insulting her master. Jensen was surprised that she was really going to fight. He didn't expect that from her. He asked what he should do, and Chen-sen replied to try not to make any noise. So he decided to deal with her quickly. But in the meantime, Nuri attacked him by surprise and tried to strike him. Chen-sen stopped her and asked why she was so angry. She was even ready to strike a distinguished guest of the country. Of course, he apologized for his friend, but suggested they stop there. Nuri said that they started the conflict and now they were asking him to stop. They had insulted the host and weren't even going to apologize. She had no intention of taking anyone's life, but this man must be punished. Jensen said that if that was the case, then she should continue. And now they will see who will prevail. Jensen asked them to stop, but Nuri launched an attack. Meanwhile, Tahoon lifted Anderson up and told him not to worry. He didn't kill him, but he definitely needs serious medical attention. They thanked him for at least not killing him, but he had just defeated the strongest awakened Anderson, and that was no longer just a dream. With his strength, their country could become the strongest in the world, and they would be able to resist pressure from the US and China. Tekon told the director that he knew what he was thinking. He only fought Anderson because he was interested in him. But he's not interested in their political games, so let them do what they want, but leave him alone. After that, he left. Finally, he asked him not to bother him. He decided to follow Nuri, but before entering the room, he saw that something was wrong. Jensen told her that it was not bad, but that victory would surely be his. Jensen understands that the winner has already been decided, but he couldn't believe that his friend A-Rank had to try so hard. This girl named Nuri was an unusual fighter. Jensen said he would turn her into an ice cube. She tried to attack him, but he started freezing her. Then he asked her how she felt being an ice cube and who was punishing whom, and told her to repeat what she had said before. Nuri thought that she wanted to punish the one who had insulted her master, and apologized in her mind, but she probably couldn't defeat him. Jensen understands that she is a good fighter, but not yet at the A-rank level. He told them to stop or there would be trouble. After that, Tahoon came in and grabbed Jensen. Nuri doesn't understand how he got here. Seeing that this man had hurt her, Taehan became very angry and, striking him, asked how he dared to touch what belonged to him. He asked if it was him. Jensen doesn't understand why he is here because he was sure that Anderson would defeat him. Tekon said that they dared to touch his property and now they would pay for it with their lives. Jensen realized that Anderson had lost. Nuri stopped him and said that she was fine, so he should calm down. He hugged her and Nuri wanted to explain why the fight had happened. Tekon said that was enough. She was brave and now she didn't need to worry because he was there. Then he healed her. He told her that she had saved their lives. Then Jensen heard that Anderson had been defeated. Tekon said that they'd better leave the country before he changed his mind. Jensen understood that they had lost their title. The title of the strongest country in the world no longer belonged to the United States. It had been taken by the devil himself. The news reported that the Wolf Team had already completed its short visit to the country and had left for home. They refused to comment. Therefore, the reasons are unknown. An anonymous source reports that they met with Bente Taehoon. The departments of both countries refused to comment. After watching the news, Guildmaster Aries Kim In-sok thought that something impossible had happened and that they would not achieve anything with a guy like him. Besides, the National Intelligence Service got to him first. They cannot claim what they do not know. Kim In-sok believes that they still need to meet him and get to know him first. Siren said that after this incident, they need to move. Tekon said he didn't want to stress himself out. She replied that it was necessary given the situation. He said that he had just moved here, so why should he move again? Serena replied that the public now knows his current place of residence. She heard that he didn't want to stress himself out or be stressed out. Therefore, they are offering them a place on an island where no one will bother him. They will provide them with a new and fully furnished house. They only had to take one look at it and they would really like it. So she asked them to take a look at the house at least once. Techno didn't like the idea, but he saw the sparkle in Nuri's eyes and asked if she was interested. She said she had always dreamed of living in a house on an island. Then she apologized for being so forward. Siren hopes she wasn't too rude, otherwise she'll never be brought back to life. But Tekon says he agrees. He suggested they go and look at the house. After that, they got ready and set off for the island. Nuri couldn't believe that this was the island where they were going to live, and it looked very nice. Serena said that they had bought the entire island, and then they built a house with resort-like amenities. This place was completely isolated from the outside world. She thought she didn't need to explain why. Siren said that it had everything they could possibly need, including a swimming pool, a cinema, a library, a bar, a computer club, and even another swimming pool on the roof. The entire island was equipped, so there was also a dueling hall and an evacuation system. Everything for Mr. Techno. He said it wasn't bad. Serena was delighted that he liked it. She said that they would provide them with staff who would always be ready to help, so all that remained was to move in. She has a few things to share. They received a letter from the States saying that the US government apologizes for the behavior of the Wolf Team. They also said that they would be happy to sign a mutual defense agreement between the awakened S-ranks of America and South Korea. If an enemy appears that the country cannot deal with on its own, one of them can ask for support. The United States may also request support from Mr. Taehoon. They are prepared to cover all necessary expenses if he can defeat the enemy. In case of victory, a reward awaits him. Details will be discussed between government agencies, but the final decision on the conclusion of the agreement will be made by Taehyun. Tekon thought that the problems of the States did not interest him much, but if someone appeared whom Anderson could not defeat, It could be fun. Therefore, he said he agreed to such a mutual defense agreement, or whatever it was called. Serena was surprised and thanked him for his cooperation. And lastly, there was a proposal from the National Intelligence Service. They proposed creating a new team of awakened individuals under Tekon's leadership. With the support of the team leaders, Mr. Tekon can focus entirely on the battle itself. But of course, it's just a proposal. The final decision is up to him. Tekon thought that the weak members of the team would get in the way, but they could be useful in things he didn't want to do. If he manages to create an environment for competition, her strength will only grow. Taehoon also agreed to this proposal, but he said that he would select the team members himself. Serena said that she would pass on his words and that the boat to take them to the island was ready, so she would show them around. Taehoon asked if she really wanted a new house so badly. Nuri apologized and said that it was her dream come true. Tekon said that he couldn't wait either. Nuri hoped that in the future they would build a bridge so that they wouldn't have to travel by boat. He said there was no need for that, then picked her up, flew into the air, and spread his wings. Meanwhile, the workers were preparing to welcome the guests. According to the plan, they would be here soon, so they needed to hurry. Then they saw Taehoon arrive with Nuri. She thanked the host and was delighted that they would be living here. Tekon looked at the surprised faces of the employees and asked if they had arrived too early. The man said, of course not. They had been waiting for them. The man introduced himself and said his name was Gu Chang-suk. He was appointed a manager of this place. He said they would do everything possible to make them comfortable. Taehoon said that was wonderful. Gu Chang-suk told them to follow him and he would show them around. They went inside and Nuri said it was incredible. It was like being in a hotel. Taehoon agreed that it was quite nice and asked the butler what there was to do. Gu Chang-suk said with confidence that he would like it. After that, they were treated to various dishes and drinks. Then they played drums and relaxed on the beach. Gu Chang-suk asked how he liked it, and Taehoon admitted that it was nice and that he felt like he would have fun. Xingho flew in and said that they hadn't seen each other in a long time. He thanked Taehoon for accepting their offer. He wanted to introduce them to someone. This was a new member of the National Intelligence Service, A-rank Miss Lee Yu-jin. Lee Yu-jin asked Taehoon if he was the same S-rank awakened person. She thought that if he was that strong, he would look majestic. She didn't understand why he was so lazy and why there was a child with him. Nuri pointed out that it was customary to greet people when entering someone else's home. Lee Yu-jin said that children had no business here and should get out of the way. Nuri said she wasn't a child. Then Lee Yu-jin said that she wanted to meet one of the few S-rank awakened beings in the world. There was no way that trash could be awakened. Shinho asked her to stop. Taehoon asked him to get out of the way if they were going to continue wasting his time. Shinho apologized for her behavior and explained that she had just become an awakened A-rank, so she didn't understand what was going on yet. He would explain to her how to behave. Taehoon said that was ridiculous and asked if she was an awakened A-rank. That would mean she was strong enough, and the strong had the right to be arrogant. But on the other hand, if a person is strong, they should be able to tell the difference between themselves and their opponent. If an insect causes inconvenience to a human, the result is only one: to be crushed. Lee Yu-jin doesn't understand what's going on because she's never experienced anything like this before. Taehoon said that was enough. She thought it was some kind of test, and for a moment she was afraid she would freeze there. Shinho apologized again. He said that in his opinion, she had learned her lesson. Taehoon said that everything was fine and that he was even intrigued. Then he told Lee Yu-jin to follow him. Turning to Nuri, he said that his subordinate should also come. He wanted to see what they were capable of. Nuri thought that she was treating others like children just because they were a little younger than her, and she didn't like it. She was strong enough to stand by her boss and told her rival to get ready. Lee Yu-jin told her to get ready too. Taehoon said that they had to compete at their best so that he could find out who was stronger. Lee Yu-jin said that she would use all her strength. Taehoon was glad that they were taking the competition seriously. Nuri's rival uses her shape-shifting abilities. She copies, downloads, and changes. Sinho sees Yu-jin use her shape-shifting abilities for the first time and is curious to see how it works. Taehoon saw how she transformed and thought that those were her abilities, but there was nothing unusual in her characteristics. Shape-shifting is an interesting skill. In the world of demons, many competed by changing the shape of their bodies. But although this skill is shared by all, its use is very individual. Even he did not expect this. He would never have thought that she would be able to completely transform into another creature, not to mention that this creature was of a very high level. Nuri noticed the red horns on her head. Such horns were on the 6th-level monster that appeared near the Korean university. Tekon said that an old acquaintance had returned and asked his subordinate what she was going to do. Lee Yu-jin asked if she was so scared that she couldn't even move, probably because this creature had destroyed people right before her eyes. Nuri said that she wasn't scared at all and was even happy because she had to avenge the people who had died. The employees noticed that the entire building was shaking and decided to ask Gu Chang-suk if he was sure everything was okay. He replied that there was no need to worry because the building had been specially designed to withstand the strongest loads. So they'd better get used to it because from now on this would happen regularly. Lee Yu-jin wondered how such a small body could be so strong and fast, but she considered herself stronger because she possessed the strength of a monster. They continued to fight and Yu-jin injured Nuri. Then she tried to concentrate. Sinho was surprised that she even had the same abilities as a monster. Yujin rose into the air and struck Nuri again, and when she landed on the ground, she wondered if this was her punishment for thinking she was stupid. She was considered an awakened A rank, but Nuri unexpectedly got up and struck her back. She held her weapon to her opponent's throat. Takon said that was enough. Yujin was sure that she was definitely stronger and faster than her, but she had figured out her weaknesses. Then she picked the right moment and defeated her, so she lost because of the big difference in experience between them. But with this guy, she could definitely become stronger. Yujin wanted to say something, but Taehan beat her to it and said he refused. She noticed that she didn't even have time to say anything. He replied that all she had going for her was her interesting skill, but for now she was like a baby learning to take her first steps. So for now, he couldn't take her under his wing. However, she would make a good opponent for him, and if she wanted, Taehoon was willing to give her one chance. Taekon told Shinho that he should already feel it. A little more, and it would be too late. Shinho asked what he should feel and what he meant. After that, he received a call informing him that there was a problem. Shinho asked what had happened. He was told that Osaka and Japan had been wiped off the face of the earth. So they immediately flew to Japan, and Nuri asked if the boss couldn't get there faster on his own. Taekon asked if she preferred to walk or drive when traveling around the city. But in her opinion, they are faster than cars. Yujin doesn't understand why they aren't nervous at all, since they are flying into battle. They might have to risk their lives. Shinho decided to report the current situation. About an hour ago, they received information. An unknown gate has opened in Osaka. At first, the Japanese government denied the information, but 10 minutes later, it requested support from China and Korea. Osaka has already been subjected to a massive attack by monsters from the unknown gate. The city is almost destroyed. Japan's elite awakened ones were sent to stop the invasion, but contact with them has been lost. They may have already been eliminated. The Japanese confirmed that the monster that appeared from these gates is an 8th level monster. It is the strongest monster ever encountered by humanity. Yujin was frightened by what she heard. Nuri asked if she was okay. She didn't know that some people could get so sick on a plane. She replied that she wasn't feeling sick. Then she asked if she was scared, since they were about to come face to face with the strongest monster known to man. Nuri replied that it was scary, but they were flying to save people and it was worth it. But she didn't need to worry, because the master was with them. Taekon thought that the 8th level monster was stronger than the dragon he had recently fought. He hoped that this creature was strong enough to entertain him. They entered Japanese airspace. In 5 minutes, they would land. They arrived at the operation area and had to prepare for descent. Taekon said he would go first. He jumped out of the plane and descended. Nuri said she would also descend. Then she asked Yujin if her parachute was ready. She replied that it wasn't yet. Nuri said she would help her. This is what they were taught at the academy for the awakened. She adjusted her parachute and said everything was ready, but Yujin couldn't bring herself to jump. Nuri told her to relax because if she was so nervous, she would definitely not be able to fight. Yujin was surprised by her determination. She was so nervous that she couldn't even fasten the strap. Would she be able to help in this battle at all? Nuri said that she had experience competing, so she was used to it. Well, in her opinion, Yujin was strong, so she would be fine. Yujin thanked her. But then Nuri pointed out that she is, of course, stronger. Yujin said that Miss Nuri is very strong. Nuri suggested they jump together on the count of 3. She counted to 3 and then pushed Yujin. Taehan came down and saw a large monster, so he decided to give it a proper welcome. Awakened, Japanese A-rank Koharu thought that her end had surely come. The giant monster approached her. Koharu had almost resigned herself to her fate, but then help arrived. Nuri and Yujin were already close to the ground. Nuri used an air blast and then stood up to defend Koharu. In a moment, she dealt with the monster and asked Koharu if she was okay. Then she noticed that they were reinforcements from Korea. Meanwhile, Taehoon found a worthy opponent and noticed that the monster was truly abnormal. It looked very bad, and he had never seen anything like it before. Taehoon reviewed the information about it. As it turned out, the monster had unique divine characteristics. He had lost himself because of a contract. Taekon realized that he was a fallen god. He said that this was very interesting, and incidentally, he was also an exiled god. So now he wanted to test how strong his opponent was. A fierce battle began and Koharu asked what was going on. Nuri replied that it was her master. She used translation magic so that Koharu could understand her. Koharu was surprised that it was an awakened being and not a monster. Nuri remarked that her master was very cool, so now she didn't have to worry about that vile spider. Her master would take care of him. Nuri wanted to give her a hand, but she told her not to touch her and noted that she was no better than an S rank. Therefore, she did not need her help. Koharu told her to get out of the way. Yujin asked if she was being ungrateful to the people who saved her life. Only those who didn't need help but were saved are entitled to arrogance. Besides, she was no better than Nuri, even though she was considered an awakened A rank. Moreover, they didn't have time to talk now. A monster named Atlok Nahe Jr. approached them. Nuri said that was right. Yujin admitted that she would like to give her some common sense. But now they had a decisive battle ahead of them. Meanwhile, Taehoon was also fighting a giant spider. The spider wrapped him in its web and he fell. Tekon thought that his sword would not be able to harm it. At this level, he definitely couldn't defeat this opponent, so he decided to show him what he was really made of. Transforming into a demon, he told the monster to rejoice because he would be the first in this world to fight against his true form. His true form had the blood of a hydra, the bones of a dragon, the stature of a hippopotamus, and the wings of a demon. So if he really is a god, then he challenges him to try to survive. After that, he used his wings. He struck the monster repeatedly and said he would see if it could withstand his blows. Tekon jumped onto the spider and admitted that its defense was very good, but surely its eyes were not so well protected. He attacked the monster again and said that everyone has their weaknesses. He could withstand his blows, but now they would see if he could withstand this. Then he struck it again, inflicting heavy damage on the monster, but it did not destroy it. The giant spider began to release poison. Tekon realized that this was not ordinary poison, but something very strong. Nuri and Yujin fought the monster together. Koharu thought that their country would probably not be able to defeat the monster on its own, but they would never let the world know that some weak country was helping them. She decided to take advantage of the fact that they were busy fighting. Then she called for backup from the process team. Tekon mentally contacted Nuri and told her to get as far away as possible. She told Yujin that they had to leave immediately. Yujin saw the poison spreading around them. Then they started to run away, and Yujin remarked that she could have said something earlier. Nuri replied that she had just learned about it from the master. Koharu asked what had happened and said she hadn't done anything. Nuri grabbed her and they ran away. Then she said that if she wanted to live, she had to get out of there. Tahun saw that they had escaped and mentally praised his subordinate. This poison could even eat away his skin. It was definitely a divine level poison, but he had an idea. Tekon asked the monster if this poison could handle a dragon's fiery breath. Then he saw that the monster was frightened and said, "Is the one who was called a god afraid of some flames?" This greatly disappointed him. After that, he attacked the monster with fire, but the monster attacked him in return. Tekon was injured and Nuri was afraid for him. The monster was able to block the dragon's breath and penetrate his body. Now it is trying to destroy him with spiritual poison. It is indeed the poison of a god, and even in his dimension, it would be so. Few could survive such a thing, but unfortunately, the monster was unlucky with his ally. Tekon said that his poison was useless against him. Hydra blood flows through his veins, so how can poison harm someone whose blood is poison? So it's time to end this show. Tekon struck the monster countless times and then said that it was fun and now he must die. After that, he delivered the final blow. He destroyed the monster and obtained a huge magic stone from it, thinking that it was strange. Magic stones are essentially just accumulations of impurities from powerful beings. He was not surprised when he pulled a similar stone out of a weak dragon, but this opponent of his was a fallen god, that is, a perfect being who could never have impurities in the form of magical essence. It must be because of a contract with someone, and it's serious. Meanwhile, Nuri and Yujin got into trouble because Koharu called for backup. In an instant, they were surrounded on all sides. Yujin asked what they were doing. They couldn't let it become known that Korea had helped them. Koharu said that in that case, Japan's international authority would be destroyed, so they would have to die right now. Yujin remarked that she remembered her singing a completely different song when she was attacked by monsters. Did she really want to betray them? Even after they saved her? Koharu said that only someone who is on the same side as the potentially betrayed can betray them. They are too naive, and their country is indeed weaker than theirs. Nuri said that they came here to protect people. Then why do they still want them dead? Koharu said that as an awakened Japanese, she has a duty to protect her country's reputation. And now she is acting according to her conscience. They were arrogant enough to invade their territory, so let them reap the fruits of their stupidity. Koharu thought that without this awakened S-class, victory was assured for their side, but then Taehan joined them and no one understood who this guy was or what was going on. Tekon said that in light of the situation, he was going to resolve everything easily and simply, and that their attitude was very offensive to him. Koharu thought that if he had arrived even a moment later, they would have already dealt with them. Yujin reported that they had saved these people. But this upset them greatly, so now they want to hide the evidence. Taehun asked if that meant they had dared to touch his people. He told them to drop their weapons on the floor, and they didn't understand what kind of power was forcing them to obey. This guy said only a few words, forcing them all to kiss the asphalt. It was as if they were being controlled by an invisible hand. A subordinate told Koharu that they should retreat because they were no match for an awakened S-class. She told him not to talk nonsense. After all, reinforcements were already on their way. Even if he was S-class, he still wouldn't be able to handle so many high-ranking opponents. Several Japanese rankers would soon arrive, so they needed to buy some time and continue fighting. Tekon said that since he respected their honor, he was going to let them off, but it seemed like they had no intention of stopping. If they continue to insist, then he will wipe them off the face of the earth so that people will forget they ever existed. Nuri stood in front of him and said that he shouldn't do that. Then she turned to Koharu and asked if she could hear her. She said that even if they had betrayed them, her desire to help people was unshakable, so she offered to make a deal. She suggested that he fight her one-on-one or with someone else. If Nuri wins, they will let them go. Then she would submit an official request for the resolution of the international conflict. If Nuri lost, they would not file a report on the incident. They also promised to remain silent. Nuri said that as she saw it, she would resolve everything personally without the involvement of her master. because if he takes matters into his own hands, she understands that many people will be injured. Yujin asked if she really had to care so much about them. Taehoon believes that a person's actions reflect their true nature. He is surprised that his subordinate has become so brave, so he agrees to her conditions. He will not interfere, whatever the outcome. He also vows not to attack the Japanese rankers and swears by the name of the Demon Lord. Koharu asks what right they have. Her subordinate said that this was a great opportunity. They could use this duel to buy time. Therefore, he asked her to leave the matter to him because he was confident that he would not lose to this Korean awakened one. Taekwon hopes that his subordinate will show him the results of his training. After that, they began the battle. Nuri immediately attacked the guy and hurt him. Yujin said that Nuri was winning. Koharu couldn't understand what was happening and was shocked that this girl had actually won. Taehan said that now they were even. He was glad to see his subordinate surpassing herself, so now it was their turn. He would be generous and keep his promise, but they had to get out of there if they valued their lives. Koharu didn't like those words. Enraged, she asked how these low-ranking Koreans dared to insult them. They would never leave this place alive. So she ordered her subordinates to destroy them all. Yujin asked if she was serious. Taehan praised Nuri and said she had done everything she could. Then he turned to his opponents and said he had no desire to use his sword. So he simply used his power and wiped everything around them off the face of the earth. Then he said that there was nothing left to do here and that they should return. Yujin couldn't believe that he had done all this himself. So it's a good thing he's on their side. The news reported that as a result of the incident with the 8th ranked enemy, the entire city of Osaka had been destroyed. As a result of the incident, many of Japan's awakened died or went missing. It is estimated that these losses will not be replaced for 10 years. The Japanese government thanked the South Korean government for its help in destroying the enemy. They also received a proposal for cooperation between the awakened. This was in order to fill the gaps in their fighting power. Gu Chang-suk, the house manager, brought a package from Japan for Mr. Taehoon. They opened it and saw that inside was an object called an ice pillar. As is well known, this is a valuable item that is treasured in Japan. Nuri said it was an incredible item. Even the planning department had never seen anything like it. Taehoon said it was a nice thing, but useless to him except as a refrigerator. He thought that instead of sending some useless thing, they should have sent food, such as tuna. Gu Chang-suk said he would pass on his words about this incredible item. Taehoon sensed someone approaching the island. So Gu Chang-suk decided to check it out. Some people were indeed approaching them, and what they saw seemed incredible to them. After all, they had taken over the entire island to build a house. But that was understandable because an incredible S-rank awakened person lived there. That's why they risked their lives to get here. The men arrived on the island and apologized for the intrusion. Gu Chang-suk said that these people were members of the Aries Guild, which is part of the Awakened Association. Recently, the head of the guild, Mr. Kim In-sok, had requested a meeting, but he made it clear that Mr. Kim was on vacation and asked to reschedule the meeting. He was very sorry that this had happened and would immediately expel them from the island. Taehoon said that this should not be done. How dare they show up here uninvited, knowing that he is much stronger than them. It seemed that their lives were not very precious to them, so he became curious. Therefore, he decided to meet the guests. The men entered the house and thought it was a real Demon King's castle. It seemed that the awakened S-ranks were no joke. Taehoon asked Kim In-sok if he wanted to see him. He replied that he did and that he was from the Aries Guild. Taehoon said he would listen and asked what he wanted. Gu Chang-suk brought Taehoon his order of iced chocolate with Belgian chocolate. Kim In-sok thought he had an original taste. An S-rank awakened looks like a demon king, and he even has iced chocolate. Taehoon said that if he had something to say, he should say it quickly, because now he couldn't waste any time. Kim In-suk fell to his knees in front of him and asked him to accept their Aries Guild. Taehoon replied that he didn't want to. At the Association of Awakened Ones, Young Woo Min was shown a report about the Aries Guild, but he didn't understand what it was. His subordinate explained everything. It was a guild of awakened ones, led by Kim In-sok. An awakened one of rank S, Jun Woo Min, asked what business he had with some rank S guild. His subordinate said that he should pay special attention to it because he was connected to it. Jun Wooman realized that they were talking about the crazy awakened one and told his subordinate to tell him more. As the subordinate had already mentioned in his previous report, the head of the Aries Guild, Kim In-sok, had recently been trying to meet with Taehoon. He was doing everything he could to make it happen. They decided that the chances of a meeting were slim, so they limited themselves to formal surveillance. And they did not devote much time to it. But in the morning, information came in that Kim In-sok and his henchmen had left for the Yellow Sea, to the island in the Yellow Sea where Taehoon lives. A report has just come in that the meeting took place. Jun Wooman doesn't understand anything. Why did they even need to meet with this monster, and what was he planning if he agreed to meet? So he ordered them to find out everything first. What exactly was his purpose in going to see him, and what did they talk about? He must report everything in the smallest detail. His subordinate said that he had already taken measures. Jung Woo-ming thought that since there was no suitable way to deal with him yet, he would just observe. But this worthless S-rank had decided to stir up a hornet's nest. If the contract with him was terminated, the association would suffer losses. Therefore, there was nothing left to do but take action. He decided to call someone and discuss the matter. The man was surprised that the chairman himself had called him. He hadn't called for so long, and now he had decided to call himself, so something must have happened. Jun Wooman said he wanted to entrust him with a task. He was willing to reconsider the offer he had previously rejected if he took on the job. Tae-hoon continued talking with Aries Guild representative Kim In-sok and said that everything was simple and he didn't need him. Kim In-sok wanted to ask something, but Tae-hoon remarked that he was useless to him, even more useless than the pebbles under his feet. Out of respect for his courage and risking his life to enter his territory, he would let him go unharmed. So let him go right now because he doesn't like to waste time. But Kim In-sok cannot return with nothing. He felt it at first glance, and if he didn't grab this man and get under his wing, there would be no future for their guild. Kim In-sok said that wasn't true. They, like the Awakened ones, had also gone through many dangerous battles, even if he thought they were worthless. So they would definitely be useful somewhere, at least as support in the fight against enemies, or as workers to monitor the situation, or at least they could clean his house. Therefore, Kim In-sok asked to give them a chance, and they would do whatever he told them to do. Tae-hoon asked if they would really do anything. He found this interesting and agreed to give them a chance. Then he asked again if they were really ready to do everything he said. Kim In-sok said of course, so Tae-hoon asked him to prove his abilities and value. They would start with something simple. First, they needed to capture the Association of the Awakened. Kim In-sok was surprised by this request, but he said he would do anything. They went back, and his subordinate said that this request was impossible to fulfill. In-sok asked what they could do. If they don't get under Mr. Tihan's wing, they have no future. Then they will have to die anyway. The association needs to destroy 3 main guilds. Surely they have weaknesses or at least some loopholes. As soon as they return, a detailed investigation must be launched, but the main thing is not to let them see them. If everything works out, they will make a big score. Nuri asked the master why he gave them an impossible task. He was surprised that she called it an impossible task. She said that it was indeed impossible. The Association of the Awakened consists of more than 100 small guilds and 3 main guilds that control them. It is a huge organization of awakened ones. The Red Dragon, Chung Umin, Valkyrie Park Sion, and the Thunder Dragon, Kim Karan, are the 3 main guilds. They are led by guild masters of rank 5. All guild members are of rank C or higher. Aries, led by Kim In-sok, would not be able to defeat even one of them. Tae-hoon said he knew this and didn't even count on them. Nuri then asked why he needed them. He said that only if they could accomplish this impossible task would they be of any use. If they became his subordinates, they would certainly be of some use, but if they were gone, he would not miss them. They were not his target in the first place. Their value lay in creating a pretext for attacking the Association of the Awakened. Did she really think he had forgotten everything? He remembers those who dared to harm the only family he had left in this world. He will wipe out everyone who participated in or contributed to his grandmother's death, leaving not a single cell behind. They will become fuel for his righteous revenge. Yu-jin thought that whoever they were, it was scary to make such an enemy. Therefore, they would certainly not die an easy death. Meanwhile, Kim In-sok met with the head of the Valkyrie Guild, Park Si-yeon. She said that he had been very busy lately. They say that he has been diligently gathering information about them. To be precise, about the 3 main guilds, including theirs. In-sok said he didn't understand what she was talking about. He thought about his subordinates as he had asked them to be careful. Park Si-yeon told him not to pretend that he didn't understand. They had already found evidence of his activities and his people. In addition, they found something else interesting. Namely, that he had started gathering information about the 3 main guilds immediately after meeting with the S-ranked awakened Tae-hoon. Kim In-sok thought that it was probably the end for them. He was lost in his thoughts and did not hear Park Si-yeon address him. She told him to calm down because they weren't going to do anything. Their guild of Valkyries called themselves the Defenders of South Korea, and they weren't going to behave like street criminals unlike the Red Dragon Guild led by Young Wooman. She was just curious. Namely, what kind of deal they had made with this S-ranked awakened one that made him act so recklessly. In the worst case, in order to oppose this awakened one, all the awakened ones of South Korea may have to join forces. Yu-jin trained with Nuri and wondered how she ended up here. It turns out that she and Nuri became the master's subordinates. The National Security Agency wasn't even looking for her. She thought they had abandoned her here and forgotten about her. But then she got a phone call. She said she thought they had abandoned her. And her boss replied, "How can you say that?" But in fact, he had called to inform her of some problems. Yu-jin reported that she had just received a call from the National Security Agency. Tae-hoon asked what had happened and realized that it was related to the Aries Guild. After talking to Park Si-yeon, Kim In-sok was asked if he was from the Aries Guild. After that, there was an explosion. Jun Wooman said how dare he join forces with him and betray him, and did he really think he would get away with it? He decided to crush these pathetic rats. So he staged a terrorist attack that killed members of the Aries Guild. Taegon saw the news and said that he had proven his worth and that he would now accept the Aries Guild. Rumors reached the director that Taegon was planning to attack the Association of the Awakened. He did not understand this unexpected turn of events. Siren said that Kim In-sok from the Aries Guild had been attacked in the center of Seoul. It looked like it was an attack by the Awakened. Park Si-yeon, the head of the Valkyrie Guild who happened to be at the scene, intervened to prevent further casualties, but In-suk was seriously injured. One of the two guild members accompanying him was killed and the other is in critical condition. The reason for the attack on the guild is unknown. But the problem is that this guild, Ares, has switched sides to Tekon. Director John Homan asked how this happened. When did the guild manage to switch sides and when did this happen? Shinho understands his surprise. They themselves only found out about this from Nuri. Serena said that Taehoon believes that his subordinates from the Ares Guild were attacked by the Association of the Awakened and decided to take revenge. Director Jeon Homan said that it had not yet been determined who exactly carried out the attack, but then he understood everything and couldn't believe it. Cyrena said that the unexpected subjugation and attack on the Ares Guild was planned by Taehoon to create a pretext for attacking the Association of the Awakened. He would use the attack on his subordinates as a reason and planned to take revenge on the Association for its involvement in his grandmother's death. The driver asked Tekon if he should take them to the National Security Agency, and he said no. He should take them to the Valkyrie Guild. So the driver accepted his request and said they were going to the Valkyrie Guild headquarters. Nuri wanted to say something. Tekon replied that he knew what she wanted to say. She wanted to point out that not all of them were bad, but he was not going to stop. He was already halfway to avenging his grandmother, but as she said, there was no need to destroy everyone. Tekon was going to subjugate the Association of the Awakened and use it. There was no point in destroying something that could be useful. So first he will go to the Valkyrie Guild because if she is right, then maybe they deserve to live. He wants to make sure of this before attacking the entire association. Tekon hopes that those she calls good will be useful. The guild was already preparing for an attack. They only have 30 seconds to prepare and they are certain that an S-rank awakened being has attacked their guild. Therefore, they need to fight with all their might. Park Seon told everyone to calm down. If Mr. Taehoon wanted to destroy them, he would have simply destroyed the building. If he hadn't done so yet, it meant that he was ready to talk. So let everyone except the guild's combatants evacuate. She would do everything in her power to prevent a clash no matter what the cost. Taehoon asked if she was the head of the Valkyrie Guild, Park Seon. She replied that she was. He immediately looked up information about her. He had heard that she was ranked B, but she was greatly underestimated and was almost at the A rank. In addition, she possessed a rare elemental ability. Therefore, she could be at least somewhat useful. Park Seon said that, first of all, it was not their guild that attacked Mr. Kim In-sok. She found out that Kim In-sok was gathering information about the three main guilds of the Awakened Association and simply asked him a few questions. She had no intention of antagonizing the Ares Guild or him. Tekon mentioned the Ilsum Guild and hoped she would not deny knowing about it. Park Seon realized that destroying the Ilsum Guild was not his final revenge for his grandmother. He probably believes that the entire Awakened Association is involved. That's why he wants revenge on everyone. She said it was a misunderstanding and that their guild had nothing to do with what they did. Taehoon asked her to explain and she said that they weren't there during the incident with the guild. They decided to hold Ilsum accountable. But the head of the association, Chung Woomin, closed the case after receiving a huge bribe from Ilsim's guild. Of course, she wanted to protest immediately, but she couldn't go against the Red Dragon Guild on her own. If a split occurred and the information spread, the association would not be able to continue to exist. If the association collapsed, the ties between the guilds would be destroyed, and it would become much more difficult to defend South Korea from its enemies. She knows it's wrong, but they decided that in order to protect South Korea, they must preserve the association. However, they did not support the Ilsum Guild. Tekon said that as a result, they remained silent, and how this could be interpreted. Because silence is like consent. Does she really think that if their hands are clean, they are not involved in this? And if they close their eyes and remain silent, they are not responsible? Park Seon believes that he is wrong, but no matter what they say, it seems that he is going to destroy them all. So she told her subordinates to stop this man and then used her strength. A fierce battle began between them. Yujin grabbed one of her subordinates and said that if they resisted, she would scratch their faces. Taehoon grabs Park Seon and says that what they did was for the greater good, which sounds very noble. He respects her way of thinking, but he was motivated solely by personal reasons. Revenge for blood was personal revenge. So, in the face of death, would she be able to hold on to her high ideals? Park Seon begged for the lives of the other guild members at the cost of her own. She was ready to take all the responsibility upon herself. Taehoon said that was nonsense. Jun Woomin received a call and asked what had happened. The man said that he was only calling him about business, but things had not gone according to plan. They had carried out one of his orders, and the target he wanted eliminated had suddenly become enraged. They had wanted to do everything quietly, but now it would be problematic. The target was now heading towards him. Junwoo said that he was changing the terms of the assignment and told them to come quickly and protect him. The man said that it seemed like their boss was scared. He told him to keep quiet because only they could stop this monster, so he was changing the terms of the assignment. He replied that he had already sent people to him, but that was a little disappointing. Because the big boss, Jong Yu-min, was trembling with fear, he was sorry that he couldn't see it with his own eyes, and the cost of the order would remain the same, of course. After that, the man said goodbye and told him that they would meet again. Jong Woo-ming was angry that he was being taken for a fool. Then he ordered his subordinate to immediately gather all the members of the guild and tell them to arm themselves to the teeth. The subordinate accepted the order and said he would pass it on. Jung Yuman thought that even though he was a monster, he could unite the forces of his guild and the other guild. He considered him too cocky and had no intention of giving up so easily, so they would see who would win. Before that, Tahoon told Park Seon that it was nothing personal, but their guild could still be useful to him, so let them follow him. Now they are going to destroy the Red Dragon Guild. She doesn't understand why he is taking her with him. Taekwon said that she will have to testify about all the crimes committed by the Awakened Association and Jun Woomin. She must tell him everything she knows. If he wants, he can destroy them all in an instant. But if he does it all himself, it will only increase the number of his enemies. Her testimony will give him the necessary excuse. The guilty must be punished, but at the same time, he will keep those who are willing to follow him around him. So let her watch his actions and do what she must, and that is why he left her alive. Park Seon said she understood everything. The driver said that they would probably have to stop here. They couldn't go any further because the Awakened had gathered in the middle of the street. They were all armed and waiting for them. Tahoon told his subordinates not to interfere because this revenge belonged only to him. The members of the Red Dragon Guild shouted that this was the very same Tahoon, so they should all attack him together and destroy him. Jun Woomin, watching everything, realized that it was impossible to stop him. His subordinates shouted that they needed reinforcements. The man next to him asked if this was the same S-ranked Awakened one from South Korea. It seemed his name was Tahoon, but he's not as strong as he thought. He must be holding back because he's not like the one he heard about. Even if that's the case, the head of the Red Dragon Guild, Jun Woomin, is out of luck, but he can handle him on his own. Jun Woomin asked him to stop this monster and he would pay him not only for the job, but also give him a huge reward. The man agreed and told him to trust him. Meanwhile, Taehan dealt with all of his minor opponents. Park Seon believes that they must be members of the Red Dragon Guild. She is amazed at how one person destroyed one of the 3 strongest guilds in South Korea. They made the right decision by switching sides. Nuri thought that although they were seriously injured, no one had died. Therefore, the master showed mercy. Taekwon told everyone to move away because he noticed another opponent. The man said that he had received his spell right in the forehead and wasn't even scratched, so S rank is no joke. Taekwon realized that he was strong. The man said that it was just a greeting, so he shouldn't think he was the only one who was special, because he was also S rank. The man introduced himself as Dylan Rain from the second group, and that was the end of him. Nuri and Yujin were hearing about the second for the first time. Sien didn't think she would hear that name here. Most of the Awakened use their power to fight enemies. But there are also those who use it for selfish purposes. There were rumors that the second was a secret organization of such criminal Awakened ones. They had too many suspicious moments for a normal terrorist or criminal organization. So she asked the head of the Jung Yuman if he knew anything about them, but he replied that he knew nothing. She suspected that something was wrong, and it turned out that Chung Woomin was indeed in cahoots with the others. Chung Woomin asked if he thought he was the only S-rank. How dare he try to take his life, but now it was his turn to die. Dylan Rain was surprised that his opponent did not react, so he asked where his WoW was and if there really would be no reaction since he was also S-ranked. Tahoon replied that he knew, and so what? He looked over the information about him and said that he had no abilities that could interest him, so let him clarify something. Taekwon said that he couldn't take his life. He wasn't the first to say such a thing to him, and he certainly wouldn't be the last. Dylan Rain told Jun Woomin that he'd better go into hiding because it was going to be dangerous there now. Jun Woomin replied that he had hired him. Therefore, he had no right to give him orders. Junwoo wanted to make sure that Tahoon would die. Dylan Rain said that if he didn't want to die himself, he should get out of there immediately. Junwoo decided that it would be better for him to leave. After that, Dylan Rain told his opponent that he had the right to be so arrogant, so let him attack. Tahoon said that such speed was impossible with 7th level magic. Dylan Rain asked if he would still be able to say that after this. Then he used his Inferno magic and struck. Taehan realized that it was a 6th rank spell but with great speed. This was impossible with some pathetic 7th level magic, so he thought it was because of his unique ability of quick calculation. Nuri called out to the master and Yujin said it was very hot. Park Seon had never felt such heat before, therefore she didn't know if Mr. Taehan, being an S rank, could survive in such flames. Dylan Rain thought that he would probably survive and that he had underestimated him as an S rank awakened, but he decided that he would definitely defeat him. He used his power and the Red Dragon Guild building began to collapse. Dylan Rain apologized to Chairman Ju Woomin. He said to consider it free repairs for his guild's headquarters. Then he used his magic and asked if they had seen it. No S-ranked awakened enemy or anyone else could stand before his fire magic. Chung Woomin was furious that he had destroyed the guild building, but if he had destroyed him, it wouldn't have mattered. Yujin said that it was a flame that melted concrete and even a master couldn't survive such an attack. Park Seon had never seen such a flame before. None of the enemies or awakened ones had it. Therefore, even Mr. Taehan would not have been able to survive. Nuri addressed them. She told them both to evacuate the survivors and prepare for the aftermath. If another battle began, the destruction would be colossal. Only they could handle it, and the master would be fine and would not fall from such an attack. Taekwon said that for a mage from such a world, it was a good flame, but for him, it was just child's play. His enemy was right under his feet. Dylan Ray couldn't believe he had survived. After that, Taehan attacked him. Sunho and Serena arrived at the scene of the incident and thought they were too late. Even if they went there now, there was nothing they could do. Serena said that Mr. Tihan would not prolong the battle, so they should wait for it to end and then deal with the aftermath. That's all they can do. Taehan said that the sweet moment of revenge is over, and now it's time to enjoy the entertainment. Dylan Rain was angry that he underestimated him, but he was only a physical enhancer. So he shouldn't think he was the only one who could do that. After that, Dylan Rain attacked him and asked how he liked that. Even he couldn't withstand this attack. Taehan said that it was impressive and that he was quick to adapt, but that was all he was capable of. Taehan asked if that was all he had. Dylan Rain couldn't understand why he didn't have a single scratch on him after all his attacks. Moreover, he was just a physical enhancer. How could he withstand his magic when he was just an enhancer? Taehan asked for permission to correct him and said that he was not an enhancer but a mage, and he would answer his question out of mercy, because his magic is a pathetic imitation of the real thing. He is too cocky if he thinks he can surprise him with his warm flames. Dylan Rain said that his magic was primitive and that this was the main difference between them and the demons of hell. The power of hellish creatures lies not in their bodies and abilities, but in their endless thirst for battle. Even when they are on the verge of death in the face of their enemy, they never lose the will to fight. Taehan believes that the people of this world give up easily in the face of overwhelming force. The only exception was Anderson, the strongest man in this world. Taehan thought that Dylan must have reached his limit. Dylan Rain said that he must have been wrong to underestimate him and take him for a mere enforcer. Finally, he had met a worthy opponent. To fight him to the death, Taehan said okay. In that case, let him entertain him properly. Dylan used a wall of fire. Taehan noticed that the flames were much stronger than before. Then Dylan decided to use ring compression. Then he said that was not all, and used a volcano and a fire wedge, believing that even an 8th rank enemy would not withstand such a blow. Even if his opponent didn't die, he would definitely be seriously injured and lose his life. But then he saw that his opponent was unharmed and did not understand why nothing was working on him and why he could not die. So he continued to attack him. After that, Taehan struck him and asked what had happened, because he had lost his hands. So let him create new ones with magic, because he still has magical power and can continue to compete. Moreover, he was one of the strongest magicians in the world, so he should ignite his fighting spirit, compete, and continue to entertain the Demon King. Dylan Rain began to beg for mercy, and Taehan was saddened and said that this was his limit, but it was quite fun. As a reward for cheering him up, he will punish him with magic. Dylan begged him not to do it. He was ready to give him any amount of money or become his subordinate and tell him about the second organization if he wanted to know about them. Dylan was ready to tell him everything so that he would spare him. Taehan said that, unfortunately, he couldn't use magic in this world yet, but there was one saying, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. After that, Taehan blew him up. Serena said that even a 5th rank enemy would have caused less damage. Probably nothing was left of those who were in the building, including Chung Umin. Sunho agreed with her. She said that considering it was revenge, they were lucky. Because it ended just like that, but it could have been much worse. The team moved on to cleaning up the aftermath of the battle. Nuri decided to apologize to Shinho and Serena on behalf of the master for what had happened. She was not going to shirk her responsibility. Sinho said that thanks to her persuasion, everything ended this way. Serena added that they were prepared for the entire city to be destroyed, but they were curious to know who Taehan had been fighting, if it had caused such destruction. If it had been a simple battle with the Red Dragon Guild, this would not have happened. Nuri said that he was competing with an S-ranked awakened. Hearing this, they were surprised. Shinho said that this couldn't be true. Why would one of the 10 S-ranked awakened in the entire world compete with Mr. Tihan on the side of the Red Dragon Guild? Serena added that all S-ranked awakened ones are directly subordinate to their countries. No country had announced that it was sending its awakened ones. Park Seon said that he had been sent by an organization called The Second. The destruction of the Awakened Association by Mr. Tihan was only half the problem. They needed to meet with the director of the National Security Agency immediately. This was a matter of national security for South Korea. They met with the director, and Chung Ho-min was surprised to hear about the second organization. Park Si-yeon remarked that he must know about it. The situation had gone too far, so there was no point in hiding information about the second organization anymore. Chung Ho-min agreed with her. He said that the National Security Agency had kept the existence of the second organization a secret until now. Few people knew about it. Only high-ranking officials involved in national security, including him and the president, were aware of it. The organization had been spotted in Japan, as well as in China and various other third-world countries. Wherever they appeared, catastrophic destruction followed. It was a terrorist organization made up of awakened people who were supposed to protect people from enemies. Therefore, the leaders of the awakened organizations around the world agreed to keep their existence a secret. Taehan said they were stupid, like ostriches burying their heads in the sand. Park Seon said that after this incident, they could no longer hide their existence, because it was none other than the head of the association, Chung Woo-min, who brought them here. The battle between the S-ranked awakened one from the second, and Mr. Taehan cannot be hidden. Sooner or later, everyone will learn about the existence of the terrorist organization Second. After this incident, the association of awakened ones fell apart. But to protect South Korea, they need a new center that will unite the awakened. Therefore, Park Si-hyun proposes the following. The association will take the blame and announce that Ju Wooman wanted to carry out a terrorist attack by luring the second, and that the agency found out about it. They will say that Mr. Taehoon was sent to prevent the terrorist attack and to protect the country. He and the agency will become the new center for the awakened. Meanwhile, the second organization held a meeting. All participants asked why they had been gathered, and if it was something trivial, they did not want to talk. The woman announced that Dylan had died. Some of them were not surprised that this madman had died. Some even argued and won a lot of money. She repeated that he had died, and everyone realized that it was serious. They asked where he had died and what had happened. The woman said that he had died in South Korea. He had gone there to carry out an order from Kai Jinping and lost a battle to a new S-rank fighter. Some said that he was one of the strongest among them, and if he lost, it couldn't be good. Therefore, they needed to contact Kai Jinping. The woman instructed Gandharva to find out what the order was and what exactly had happened. When he finished the task, he should go to Korea. Gandharva said he would be happy to do it and was already on his way. He was curious to know who had destroyed Dylan and really wanted to meet him. Meanwhile, Taehoon and his team were waiting for the new gate to open. But Taehoon got tired of waiting and became lost in his thoughts. Everyone noticed that he was not interested in the gate and wondered what was on his mind. Park Si-hyun said that some tension was needed, but they shouldn't get too worked up. Yoojin said not to worry because she's pretty good in real combat. Nuri added that high-ranking soldiers had been appearing more often lately, but that it was usually a rarity. Yoojin would probably be able to handle it herself, at least with most of them. Then she asked Yoojin if she was right, and she replied that of course she was. Then Nuri turned to the master and said that they needed to come up with a name for their team and asked if anyone had any suggestions. Yoojin said unbeatable. After all, their master was unbeatable. Nuri asked if she was serious. Yoojin asked what name she would suggest. Nuri thought about it and said the team should be called the White Dragon. Yoojin asked if it was a mixture of the White Tiger and the Blue Dragon, and if they were some kind of mixed team. They started arguing, but Park Si-hyun intervened and suggested calling the team Untouchable. No one can touch them. Yoojin said it sounded good, and Nuri also liked the name, so they made their choice. Nuri said that their team would be called the Untouchables and asked if he liked it, but he didn't answer. The gates began to open, and Nuri thought that everything was happening exactly as it had at the shopping center. But with the master around, there was nothing to fear. But when the gates opened even wider, Nuri said that everyone should retreat because this monster was too much for them. Tekon saw the monster that had emerged from the gate and thought it was some kind of prank. It was a 7th rank dragon. Yoojin said its code name was Red Dragon. Park Si-hyun added that they looked exactly the same and had the same energy level, just like twins. Nuri asked what the code name for Red Dragon 2 was. Yoojin asked if it was from a movie and if there were any better ideas. If there were, she should suggest them. Yoojin thought about it, and Nuri said that everything seemed fine. The master wouldn't even get scratched while destroying the enemy, so everything was as before and there was no need to worry. All that remained was to watch the master compete. But then they saw a giant dragon step on him and were frightened, but it didn't hurt Techno at all. He said that it was not undead and that it might be a resurrection spell. After reviewing the information about him, he thought that these question marks were the key to the mystery. Therefore, it was worth finding out who he had made a contract with. The second one and the enemies were most likely connected. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? But now was not the time to think about that, so he decided to deal with this dragon again first. He struck it and then grabbed it, but the dragon threw him off. Then he took out his sword and told the lizard to come to him. Everyone else watched the battle, and Tekon said that mages would be a good name. Nuri asked what he was talking about. Tekon replied that he meant the name of the team and that mages would be suitable. Then he said that it was time to clean up. Insu couldn't believe that he was thinking about a team name while fighting this monster. Nuri told them to come to their senses. Then she noted that unfortunately team training would have to be postponed, and they still had things to do. Insok and the others should take care of the enemy's body. Paxion should report everything to the National Security Agency, and Yoojin should go with her to find the dragon's head. This had to be done as quickly as possible so as not to keep the master waiting. Meanwhile, the second organization had something else in mind. They discussed how this was entirely in keeping with the spirit of their strongest enemy, but of course now his rating had dropped slightly. Thanks to this, the master's plan was accelerated. After all, an 8th rank enemy had appeared. According to the plan, the 7th rank enemy was supposed to appear only in 3 years. But why did the deterioration suddenly accelerate? It seems that the border has weakened, especially in East Asia, but for them it makes no difference, and it's even better this way. Their leader said that enough talk and asked Erin if she could handle it. She said it would be a little difficult, but she thinks she can handle it. The man asked if she needed him to explain how important it was. He needed a clear answer. She said she could do it and that there would be no mistakes. He said they would begin carrying out the Lord's orders. Everyone had to take their places and Erin was to begin. After that, everyone used their power. Some of them said it was annihilation. The man said that this was the beginning of the master's plan and the beginning of the end. After that, the gate opened again. A 9th rank enemy emerged from the gate, and the disaster and damage to the city were beyond estimation. The situation was only getting worse. All the best and strongest awakened ones in the world arrived to defeat the enemy. This means that the S-rank awakened ones will also join. Pak Sien said that most likely the United States and China would be there, and Russia, which borders China, would also arrive. Nuri said that there would also be a master. There will be at least 3 S-rank awakened ones there. Park Sien informed Mr. Tihan that they had already arrived. She thought that it was unlikely that there would be anyone stronger than him, but clashes between awakened people from different countries were inevitable. Would he be able to restrain himself in such a situation? Tekon asked if he would also come. Nuri asked if he meant Anderson. He was an American S-rank, so most likely not. Taehan said it would be interesting. Nuri noted that they were talking about a 9th rank enemy. Of course it's not a problem for him, but she's worried. Tekon told her not to worry about her because everything would be fine. As they left the airport, a man approached them and asked if they had been awakened from Korea. Park Sien said that meant they had been met. The man said he would hold a briefing on the situation. Park Seon was surprised that an awakened rank 9 would be holding a briefing. At the same time, he has to control the information and drive the car. It seems that things are very bad here. The man said that the enemy is in hibernation. They got this information from intelligence. He alternates between destruction and rest every 10 days. At the moment, they have 30 awakened B rank, 12 awakened A rank, and 5 awakened S rank. Nuri said that there were 6 with the master. The man said that was correct and that, fortunately for the US, Russia and the UK had sent their S-rank awakened ones. But Nuri pointed out that there should be 4. The man replied that there was another hidden force of a great power. The main task of the rank B awakened was to provide support from the rear. They would be responsible for supplies and minor tasks. Among the rank A awakened, they selected those who specialized in healing and strengthening. And finally, the rank S awakened. It was clear that they would lead the attack. Meanwhile, a subordinate informed the chief that the awakened ones from Korea had arrived. The man asked if that included the new S rank. The subordinate replied that it did. That meant they had a total of 6 S ranks. 1 each from the US, Russia, the UK, and Korea, and 2 from them. The man wanted to keep this a secret until the last moment, but there was no choice. He would have to reveal their hidden Chinese S-rank awakened. The subordinate asked why they needed so many S-rank awakened. The man said that even that might not be enough, and the subordinate asked what he meant. The man decided to show him. The subordinate asked what it was, and he said that even this bracelet of Sekhmet, which is capable of restoring even parts of the body, would barely be able to stop the deterioration. His subordinate asked if he had competed with him, and he replied that he had not. These were the consequences of accidentally hitting him with energy while passing by, causing destruction. He didn't even compete with him. Nuri was delighted to see all the strongest awakened ones. For example, Jane from Great Britain. She is an A-rank awakened and specializes in summoning. As they say, her summoned creatures are on par with S-rank awakened beings. Benjamin Proud is also here, and that just can't be. Nuri told the master that he is an A-rank healer. He is called a saint for healing a large number of sick people. Then she saw another guy and asked who he was. She had never seen him before. The guy approached Tekon and asked if he was the S-rank awakened from Korea. Tekon looked at his information and said that it was interesting. He has cybernetic modifications. The guy asked what was interesting and if he knew him. Nuri asked him who he was, and he told her not to interfere while he was talking to him and called her a kid. She got angry at him and said she wasn't a kid. People were standing nearby discussing this guy. He was a new Chinese S-rank awakened, but none of them knew him. A man approached them and asked what was going on, calling the guy Ray Pen. Ray Pen called him Gaolin. Gaolin apologized for him and asked Taehan if he was an S-rank awakened from Korea. He considered him a coward who couldn't even get angry when he was ignored. Then he said they would see each other later. Because he had something to do, he told his subordinates that the awakened ones from Korea would not help them, so they should not waste time on trifles. He believes that if you want to increase your chances of surviving a battle with a monster, you need to cooperate with the awakened from large countries, not small ones. Nuri was furious with him and said that he was not even close to being a master. Meanwhile, Tekon decided to review all the awakened ones. In the information about them, he learned something interesting about Benjamin Proud, whom Nuri had just told him about, saying that he was a great healer. He saw that the guy had the title of 10th Apostle of the Second False Saint, the one hidden behind the veil, and was an S-ranked awakened one. He also saw in the notes that he was someone's servant. The guy he had recently competed with was also a follower. He saw this in the notes. He became curious about who this person was. Benjamin asked if he needed anything. Nuri said that he was the same saint from Manchester. Nuri confessed that she was his fan and was very pleased to meet him. Benjamin thanked her for such a nice comment. Tekon asked if he was a holy awakened healer. Benjamin said that he was, and to be more precise, he specialized in healing status effects. But Tekon noted that he had mistaken him for a magician who uses magical powers. Benjamin said he was no magician. As far as he knew, healing magic did not exist. Paxian said that only awakened healers could heal. Tekon said that meant healing magic didn't exist. Benjamin laughed and said he would leave then. Nuri asked the master what was wrong with him. Taehan said not to pay attention to him because he was useless. Park Sian said that it was all beginning. They went to the scene of the incident and Nuri asked where Anderson was. Park Sian said that he seemed to be in the rear guard. Probably their plan is for the unknown Master Tahoon and other S-ranked awakened ones to exhaust the enemy. After that, Anderson would deliver the final blow. Ray Penn and Jalen were also with Anderson. They want to help him destroy the enemy. Nuri asked if someone as strong as Anderson wouldn't be better off in the vanguard. That would help reduce casualties. Pak Sien noted that it seems China is not confident of an easy victory, and that something dangerous may be waiting for them. Tekon asked why she thought so, and she said she had heard that China had renounced its rights to the magic stones in the enemy's body. Proud China had entrusted the resolution of its crisis to the US. She might be wrong, but they must be desperate. Tekon understood everything and told them to retreat. Nuri said that they had been awakened to the rank and that their place was in the rear. But he said that they had to leave the battlefield immediately. Pak Sien was right, and this battle would be very dangerous. So let them go as far away as possible. Tekon thought about how he had felt this energy back in Korea, but he didn't think it was so strong. In an instant, it all began, and Taehan drew the magical sword Crimson Fall, a blade of destruction that devours the life force of its owner. He told the sword not to move because he was its master. After that, the monster awoke. The awakened ones were ordered to retreat to the rear. Anderson said that the monster was very strong. Galen asked if it would be difficult for him too. Anderson replied that he didn't know. If the enemies were divided by rank, it would be like commoners among enemies, but this monster was like a noble among them. It would be very difficult to defeat him. Galen asked what he was talking about. Anderson replied that he was just thinking that they could defeat him. Jalen asked if he really thought he could defeat this monster and wondered if there was such a big difference between them. Anderson said that this was why they were here, but that he couldn't do it alone. Even with the other S-ranked awakened ones, it would be a difficult battle. Galen asked how he planned to defeat it. Anderson said it was because he was there. Tekon rushed into the attack. Everyone tried to stop him and asked him not to go alone. It was impossible to defeat the monster alone, but Anderson was confident that together they could do it. So he told everyone to attack. One of them shouted that the strongest in the world were fighting together. Anderson wondered what he would see. The true power of a man who had played with him like a child. Tekon reviewed the information about the monster and saw that it was stronger than him in strength and endurance. This was a true god. He had gained divinity and ascended to the throne. It was very dangerous to touch this divine power. The monster began to release dark drops that then turned into monsters. Tekon said it was disgusting. Then he challenged the monster to a fight. Anderson realized that these flying pieces were turning into 4th rank enemies. He asked all the S-rank awakened ones from different countries to come forward to stop these monsters. The awakened ones didn't understand what was going on, but they tried to hold them back. Ray Penn said that this awakened one was ruining everything and not following the plan. Why should they even bother with these small monsters? Anderson said that he was the strongest of them all. To be more precise, he is stronger than all of them put together. Who else among them is capable of competing with this monster like he is? Pak Sien and Nuri watched the battle from the sidelines, and Pak Sien said that there was nothing they could do. Nuri said that they should at least protect the awakened ones in the ranks, so she asked her to call for reinforcements. She herself decided to go on the offensive. Pak Sien agreed with her and asked her to be careful. Jeolin thought that this awakened one was from a small country, but he was certainly impressive for calmly competing with this monster. But he told Anderson that this awakened one from Korea was too cocky and was ignoring teamwork and doing whatever he wanted. Anderson noticed that this strong man really seemed to be retreating. So what would happen if he lost? Tekon noticed that the monster's energy hitting his body was causing his giant skin and hippopotamus muscles to rot. Then he spread his wings. Anderson asked Gullion if he wanted him to go crazy. Tekon said he was already crazy. He continued his fierce battle with the enemy, and Ray Penn thought he was insane. Jalen said that if the attacks were concentrated on his eye, the monsters would stop multiplying. The Awakened asked why they didn't intervene in the battle, since they couldn't stand by forever and deal with these trifles. But if they attacked him, these small creatures would start multiplying again. Then it would be difficult for those who remained to deal with them. Anderson said that there was no need to waste time and that they should take action. He decided to join Tekon and lead the attack. The rest would act according to the situation. Tekon realized that if he didn't attack this monster, there would be no result. Anderson joined him and struck the monster, but his attack did not work. Tekon said it was a waste of energy. Ray Penn tried to attack the monster and wondered what the vanguard was doing. Then he saw one of the awakened ones get wounded. He approached him, cut off part of his damaged shoulder, and said that he shouldn't whine, and that he was lucky it was his shoulder and not his neck. Then one of the awakened shouted that they needed to dodge. Ray Penn managed to duck, but the monster destroyed the guy. He only managed to shout his name. Ray Penn realized that they couldn't defeat this monster. Anderson asked Tekon if there was really no way. Tekon said that it would take about 100 years to destroy it, but by then all of humanity would be dead. Anderson asked if he could stop it, and he said that he would be honest and said no. Anderson said that in that case he would do everything in his power. Tekon said okay and left. In the demon world, this would have been business as usual for him. After that, reinforcements arrived. Then Tekon saw that Nuri was in danger. He shouted at her to get out of the way. She didn't have time to do anything and closed her eyes, and when she opened them, she saw her master. He managed to save her. Then he said he told her to dodge, but because of that, he lost his arm. He cannot use his magic in this world. If he could, this pathetic god wouldn't have stopped him. Then he saw a portal opening in the sky. He said that the return journey had finally arrived. After that, he restored his arm. Nuri couldn't understand how this was possible. He said they would look into it later and used his teleportation magic. Then he said he was back. Using teleportation magic, he took all the awakened ones and transported them to a safe place. Then he told the monster that he was strong enough. Now his main goal was the enemy, and he decided to ignore the other goals. Tekon used his darkness magic to destroy all the small monsters, then said that wherever the boy was crying, that was where he would die. The awakened ones do not understand what is happening and how they ended up in a different place. Nuri saw Park Sien. She asked her what was going on and where they were. They are now 100 kilometers west of that place. Anderson asked where Mr. Tehon was. Nuri said that it seemed like he was still there. Jensen said that he must have died. But Chensen said that was nonsense. Nuri became angry and pointed her weapon at him. Anderson told him to stop if he wanted to remain on his team. Then he apologized to Nuri and she told him to forget about it. Anderson asked if she said he was still there. He had also seen him last. It seemed that he had restored his body and sent them here. Nuri said that was right because the master had told her they would meet a little later. Anderson asked if he wasn't an amplifier. She said that the thing was that the master called himself a wizard. Anderson was surprised that he was a wizard. Pak Sien said that in any case they wanted to go back there and asked if there was any way. Golan said that the helicopters were already on their way. They would go there on them. Nuri asked if they could go with them because they wanted to make sure the master was alive. Anderson asked Golan if he minded. Nuri began to beg him along with Pak Sien. Golan thought about the incredible power of this awakened one. Even though he was from a small country, perhaps it would be a good idea to establish relations with such an awakened one. So he agreed and told them to prepare for the move. Meanwhile, the second head of the organization was amazed by the incredible magical power. Aaron reported that Benjamin had called her and said that something had gone wrong in China. He said it didn't matter. In any case, the initial goal had been achieved, and now it was important to find out who had used this great magic. This someone was using magic that surpassed the scale of those whom the master had deliberately created. So let him contact Benjamin. We need to find out who this magician is and what his purpose is. This must be found out at any cost. Aaron asked about Gandharva. He asked if something had happened. She said that Gandharva was angry because the Korean S-ranked awakened had gone to China. This was the awakened one who had destroyed Dylan, so he had not gone there for nothing. The man told him to wait a little longer. Moreover, the Chinese crisis would end, so if he was alive, he would return home soon. In the meantime, he should act at his own discretion. They cannot disrupt the master's plans at this stage and need to act more actively. Tekon told the demonic creature to come out and greeted his highness. Tekon told him to raise his head. Then he asked where everyone else was. He replied to his highness that after using the great magic of spatial transfer, when he opened his eyes, there was no one else but him. The demon felt only a faint presence of his majesty. Tekon understood him and told him to open the gate. After that, he passed through the gate and found himself in his castle and sat on his throne. Meanwhile, the other awakened ones arrived at the scene of the incident. Pak Sien asked what was going on and where Mr. Tekon had gone. Anderson said, "Did all those monsters turn to ash?" He had never heard of such details. Had he sacrificed his hand to hide his power? Nuri sensed the master's energy and said that he was alive. Anderson asked what had happened during that time. Jolin said that the investigation team had already been called, so they needed to rest a little. He noticed that there were no traces of the magic stone either. Even Merrigan, an awakened S-class, had died. The energy of the 9th rank enemy had disappeared, and how could this be explained? And who had turned those monsters into ashes? Tekon ordered his subordinate to read his memories. He began to look through them and said how the nobodies were laughing and being rude to the king. After that, Tekon told him to restrain himself and not touch those who were close to him and those he was interested in. He also told him not to touch the mass destruction. This is not the world of demons, but another world, and nothing else matters to him. The subordinate said that it would be as the Lord commanded and asked if they should not find out the identities of these creatures. He thought that after a long time, the king had finally found a worthy opponent. He wanted to find the identity of the unknown creature and then destroy it. The king entrusted him with the beginning of this matter, and if the body is not in order, then the head will also suffer. It was difficult to figure out how to solve everything, so he entrusted the task to Catalan, who was in poor physical condition. He asked about the fortress they had placed in orbit around the planet. He said that they had taken precautions by making it invisible with the help of invisibility magic. Without abilities equal to the third eye, it was impossible to detect. Tekon said that was fine, and now they were going to the treasury. He said he hadn't been there in a long time and ordered the gates to open. They went inside and Tekon pointed to items and ordered them to be taken. The demon Cadellan thought that this was a real battle. As history shows, battle is merciless to those who are not prepared for it. Tehun picked out several valuable items. Meanwhile, Nuri and Yujin met with the chief. He asked where Tehun had gone. Yujin replied that she didn't know, and he asked if he was even alive. Nuri replied to the boss that of course he was alive and that he shouldn't worry so much. He would come when the time came. The boss asked when that would be. Nuri decided to ask if the monster was not a 9th level. He replied that it was. Despite the fact that they had deployed 6 awakened S-class warriors, they had not been able to destroy it. It was an enemy of a completely different level than those they had encountered before. That is why they called it a noble level. Yujin asked if there was a possibility that such an enemy would reappear. He replied that they did not know. Considering that they never found out whether the noble level enemy had been destroyed or had disappeared, he could reappear at any time. All they could do was pray that it would not happen on their land. Then he told Nuri and Yujin that they could go. He would go prepare an official statement about the birth of an awakened Class A in Korea, and that was Nuri. As she said, Tai-hoon would return, but they don't know when that will happen, so to calm the alarmed citizens, they need to announce Nuri's awakening to Class A. He also asked them to keep their lines of communication open. Right now, the two of them are the strongest forces in the country. Nuri told him not to worry so much. After all, the master could be standing behind that door. The chief said that if that were true, then there would be no need to worry. He opened the door and saw that Tekon was indeed standing there. Tekon told him to get out of the way. Nuri burst into tears, hugged him, and said she knew he was alive. Ta-hoon said he was back. He gave her the weapon and she was very happy and said that it was so big and beautiful. The chief said that Nuri would become even stronger. Yujin said she envied her nice weapon. Nuri replied that her previous weapon was also good, but this sword seemed incredible. Yujin said that it really did look incredible. It was so big and powerful and probably even bigger than her. But it suits her. Nuri was offended but thanked her. Then she told the master that there was one problem. It was really too big to carry around. The destroyer had a storage function in the subspace. Tekon told him to put it there. Then he used the storage. Yujin asked what he had done with Nuri's sword. At first, the sword disappeared, then reappeared in her hands. They were surprised that he was really a magician. They were surprised that he used magic when his body was capable of defeating an 8th rank enemy. It's like a power mage. Taehan turned to Park Si-yeon and said that she seemed to have awakened the power of summoning weekly, so let her summon someone now. She agreed and tried. Summoners summon beasts from the world of illusions. This is due to limitations in spatial transfer. Would a higher phantom want to obey the orders of people from the lower world? It's just that the low-level phantoms who are constantly ignored and sent to the world of illusions want to be summoned somewhere, anywhere, and to be treated like summoned creatures. Tekon said that was weak. Nuri noted that it was an ice horse. Just from his call, the temperature around him drops 10 degrees. Tekon took out a bracelet and gave it to Park Si-yeon. It is a bracelet of harmony. It can slightly weaken some of the restrictions imposed on phantoms. Park Si-yeon thanked him. Yujin asked if he would give her something, but he also had something for her that was suitable for awakened beings specializing in body transformation. He gave her a glowing shield and said that it might save her life one day. Yujin thanked him. Everyone else's eyes lit up, and they also waited for some interesting gift from Ta-hoon. He also gave the members of the Ares Guild standard senior knight equipment and standard armor worn by knights from a distant world. Their special feature was that they provided reinforcement, and the more you had, the higher the reinforcement coefficient. The chief said that he was indeed a magician. Tekon replied that of course he was. Therefore, the chief decided that he needed to alter Mr. Tekon's documents at the National Security Agency. But Tekon said to leave everything as it was. The chief said that if it was corrected, it would be easier to interact with other awakened ones in the future. But he still said to leave everything as it was. The chief asked if Mr. Tekon's return could be reported. Tekon thought that all this was preparation for a battle with the second one, and those behind them with the question mark. To oppose them, he needed to make them stronger, at least so they wouldn't interfere. As long as he had such spies, there was no need to reveal his power to others. But no matter how strong the objects were, they were only aids. Skills and abilities must be developed independently. To become stronger, one must compete to the death. Even though an awakened A rank has appeared, their country still has its S rank defender, and will the people calm down? The chief asked everyone to be quiet and began a press conference announcing that Mr. Taehan's safe return had just been confirmed. People asked what this meant, and then everyone rejoiced that this had happened and that Korea's defender had returned. Gandharva received a phone call and asked what had happened. Xi Jinping said that they had not seen each other for a long time and that such a greeting was even a little offensive. But Gandharva said that they were not friends, so he should get to the point because he had been unable to do anything for several days. He was annoyed because the S-ranked guy had disappeared. Xi Jinping asked if he hadn't seen the news that he had returned. Gandharva looked at the screen and said that he had just seen that the guy had returned. Xi Jinping said he would give him the information. This guy, Taehan, doesn't live in Seoul. The Korean National Security Agency built him a mansion on a remote island in the middle of the ocean. He would give him the coordinates, so he should be grateful and leave immediately. Gandharva agreed and said it was good that he would finally be able to work. Meanwhile, Ta-hoon was training the awakened ones and defeating them one by one. Park Si-yeon came to him to tell him something. He asked her what had happened and she said that a guest had arrived. Ta-hoon was surprised that someone was coming. Pak Sin said that Mr. Ray Pen from China was requesting an audience with the master. Taehan wondered if it was the guy who had undergone the body modification procedure. He had been implanted with dragon organs, so he said he would receive him in the living room. Taehan met the guest and immediately looked up information about him. His unique body modification characteristics were a dragon's eye and heart. He asked if he was called the Black Dragon. Lei Feng asked what this was all about. He was surprised that he knew about one of China's greatest secrets. So he asked how he could know about it, and if he wanted to stay alive, he should answer. Taehan was amused by his words. He asked how he felt about it, since insulting the king meant he deserved to die. Then Taehan's assistant from the demon world joined them. Lei Feng asked who he was. Catalan said that his name was not so insignificant that he could entrust it to someone like him. Then he grabbed him, and Taehan said that was enough, and that he didn't need to be destroyed. Catalan said that the king's order had been heard and accepted. Therefore, he let Raypen go. Tekon said he had a question and asked who the people were who modified his body. Meanwhile, Gandharva found the island and wondered if that was where it was, but there wasn't even a bridge to the island. To get there, you need to use a helicopter or a boat every time. He wanted to get there unnoticed, but it seemed there was no other choice. So he turned into a monster and wondered where to start. At this time, Tekon continued his conversation with Raypen. Raypen asked him where he got such top-secret information and who told him about it. Catalan pointed out that the king was the one asking the questions. But Raypen said he couldn't say anything. Tekon told Catalan to get the information himself. It seemed that another guest had arrived, and he had probably awakened. Catalan asked permission to meet him, but Tejon said he would meet him himself. He went outside and saw something from the body enhancement series flying towards him, but he wasn't sure about it. Gandharva landed, and Tejon said he was impressed. Gandharva asked if he was the S-class awakened one of Korea. Tejon told him to kneel and bow his head. If he did so, he would forgive him for his ignorance. Gandharva said that he didn't seem to understand the situation. He is the one who should kneel. Tehun said that it was very funny, and if that's what he thinks, then he should die here. Tekon cut off his leg, and Gandharva asked what was going on. Then he used reverse time travel and restored the leg. This surprised Tehun, and he said that it was impressive and asked where he got such power. He said that it was the power of that very person. Tekon looked through the information about him and saw question marks instead of the follower's name in the notes. He also has the characteristic of deification. He asked if it was his ability or if he had acquired it. He was curious about what kind of creature could temporarily grant divine power even to someone like him. It seemed that this battle would be more difficult than he had thought. Gandharva said that although he was stronger than he had expected, as long as that man's power was with him, he would not lose. After that, he used a sky-shattering blow. Tekon told him not to be rude and called him trash. Then he took his blow, destroying his arm, and told him to try that again. He would gladly smash everything to smithereens. Aaron said that the connection with Gandharva had been lost. She asked if he had gone to Korea. According to Chai Jinping, he wanted to meet that guy to compete. If the connection was lost, it meant that he had been defeated. So he was most likely already dead. Aaron said that his abilities allowed him to get out of any dangerous situation. He probably just broke his phone during the battle. The guy said that if he was able to defeat Gandharva, then that guy was really something. Knowing that guy, it's entirely possible, but some of them decided to drop the conversation about Gandharva and talk about Takona. He is awakened from the body enhancement category and does not seem to use any special weapons, but his physical abilities have reached the extreme level of development. With one blow, he destroyed a mountain and even destroyed a 6th level monster with one blow. Aaron was asked if she was joking, and she said that they were forgetting something. This time, they opened the gate in China. What came out of the gate was created by a creature, or more precisely, by that man. As Benjamin said before his death, the creature was connected to the open gate. Among those who awoke, only Tekon was present. They asked if she meant that the creature created by that person had been destroyed by Tekon. But how could he have done it alone? The leader said to think about it and find Gandharva. Before the next plan, they needed to find out everything about him. What powers he had, who his allies were, what items he used, everything, down to the smallest detail. Tekon continued his battle with Gandharva, and his opponent asked him to stop. Tekon asked what he was doing. He should immediately start regenerating his body, but it seemed that the effect of the divine ascension had ended. Gandharva became a normal human again. Tekon healed him and said they should continue their conversation. Catalan tried to talk to Raypen, and he didn't like his skin with the transplanted dragon scales. Raypen asked who he was and if he was some kind of monster. Catalan said that he was only allowed to speak in response to the king's questions. So Raypen said he would tell everything because he could no longer bear the pain. Catalan let him go and told him to say everything he knew. Gandharva also said that all he knew was that the 30 apostles and 9 leaders had a leader who was shrouded in mystery. Then he began to ask someone to wait and said that he could not do anything. Tehun did not understand what this meant. After that, there was an explosion. Tekon realized that a taboo had been placed on him, and that magic had nothing to do with it. All that remained of Gandharva was a device. Tekon thought that perhaps this mechanical device was from Earth. It was used for self-immolation. Catalan appeared before Tekon, addressing him as His Majesty. Tekon asked if he had spoken. He replied that he had, but he didn't know much. It is known that for 5 years the Chinese government had been investing money in experiments. All this was happening through the National Development Planning Committee. Funds were being invested in experiments to merge humans and monsters. According to some mysterious person who gave them this method and then disappeared, it was not just a technique for creating chimeras. The same thing was done to his body, but in his case, it was a higher form of magic that only Gnostics could perform, even in the magical world. It was simply incomprehensible, and in this useless external world, there was still no one who had truly mastered the power of truth. Nevertheless, the influence extends to the heavenly world, the illusory world of the Asuras, as well as to the world of knowledge, the earthly boundaries, and even to his own magical world. Tekon turned to Cadelon and waited for his orders. He told him to investigate the person he had mentioned earlier, the one called Anna. Cadelon accepted the king's order. Tekon called the manager of the house named Gu Changsuk and told him to prepare a plane. He asked where to book the flight, and Tekon said that it looked like they would have to visit China again.